All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right, so first, let's deal with the small fries first. The small fries first, the small conversations. All right, all right. A lot of hate, man. We got a lot of hate coming our way.
I just have some questions for the foundational Black Americans because I was born here. My parents were born here. Okay? And I keep seeing a lot of posts about the foundational Black Americans siding with Trump and deportation. So I just want to know, like, how does one know that they are a foundational Black American?
Okay, all right. So, like, I don't know if to take them serious when they ask this question, or are they just being rhetorical because they are in our spaces all day long, right? They're on our platforms where if it's Red Supreme, Afro Elite, the Foundation of Black American History Channel, Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black, Black Authority, wherever they go, right? Urban Politicians TV, Phil Scott, wherever they go, they are learning about, studying what we're about. Then they go live and pretend they don't know what a tether is. They pretend they don't know how to distinguish an African immigrant or a black immigrant or immigrant period from FBAs. So here we go. How does one distinguish who's FBA? I mean, it's in the name, but listen, are you, do you have roots that recent roots, like a great grandfather or grandfather from another country? Yes or no? Then you're not FBA. Real simple. But she's gonna play dumb.
Because wouldn't that make every American that's black here in America that's not from the islands or from like other countries, wouldn't that make them foundational Black Americans just by being born here? Or I don't know, maybe someone said like you have to have like three generations born here.
No, no, that wouldn't make you a foundational Black American. No, no, you being born in a country. If I moved to Japan, that doesn't make me Japanese. You're just an American. I would be a citizen. So these people are American citizens. They're not Black Americans. There's a difference. If I move to Nigeria, if I'm born in Nigeria, I'm not a Nigerian. My ethnicity didn't change unless my
Right.
parents are Nigerian. I would just have maybe possibly Nigerian. So I don't know how it works over there. I would have Nigerian citizenship. I don't know why this is a tough concept for you people to understand.
I don't know why
And
either.
yeah, I said it is, but they like to act oblivious and dumb because they just want to disrespect our culture.
Right.
A foundational Black American is a person who is from America who did not immigrate here. We've been here since before the transatlantic slave trade. A lot of us. Only about what 3% of people that came from from the transatlantic slave trade. Most of us were already here. We've been here. If you can trace your lineage back for generations and generations to the 1860 census and then even before then, foundational Black Americans are not immigrants. We didn't immigrate here. We're not African Americans. Our lineage is not tied to Africa. Our lineage is tied to America. Y'all don't question Jamaicans. Y'all don't question Haitians. Y'all don't
Anybody
question
from the
anybody from
diaspora.
any other country. Y'all only
Right.
question us because it is a part of an agenda
Well,
to
they
uproot our
they only
culture and
question us
replace us.
because
And we're not going
they
for
know
it.
where
So
the
no,
head
you
is
wouldn't
at.
be a foundational Black American just because you was born in America.
Yeah, we gotta start telling them that they are foundational tethers. Like you want to be foundational so bad. Okay, you're foundational. You're a foundational tether American. Okay, you're FTA. All right. That's what you are.
No, that's not how that fucking works. It's literally in the name. Foundational Black American, meaning that you are the foundation of being black in America. Because nowhere else in the world were they even classifying themselves as black. People didn't really start classifying themselves as black until they got associated with America when they
Right.
wanted to be a
Right.
part of, because
Right.
black Americans, we made black
Cosplay. Here you
cool,
go.
even in the term black American.
Right.
You're black and it's American. It's like you have white American. There's
Yeah, because
no
they
there's
see
no
black as
other
an ugly term.
correlation or distinction of what black is. It's specifically and it's always been an American thing. Now, globally, we go by by race of what race is, but race is a social construct. Race is not biological. It's a social construct that race really doesn't even exist. People have always went by their ethnic group and their
Right.
tribes, especially in
Great
Africa,
point.
and that's what we consider ourselves, foundational Black Americans. It's very simple. I think these people like to act oblivious on purpose.
Yes, they do.
I don't know. I just want to know, like, how do you guys know? Because everybody can't be foundational Black Americans. There's just
Right.
no
Everybody's
way.
not
Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just trying to get more. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody can't be. You're not.
at all.
That's it? That was so
Yeah, that's
fast.
it. She's not.
Got it.
You're right. It's not for everybody. Just the same way everybody can't be Nigerian, the same way everybody can't be Jamaican, the same way everybody can't be Ethiopian. Why is the question? Why are these questions not coming when it comes to y'all people and y'all homeland and y'all group of people? Why is it always a question when it comes to us? I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. It makes perfect sense what the definition is and who we are and how we classify
It
ourselves
makes
as. The
absolute
problem
sense.
is,
That's why they so
and we
hurt.
have to take accountability as Black Americans. We have not gatekeeped enough. We have not gatekeeped enough
No, we definitely
at
didn't.
all. We have
But let me
always
hear more of
let
her.
we not.
Well,
And when we
that's all she
did
had
try
to
to be
say.
other people, when a lot of Black Americans, before we started to get conscious, and I hate using that
All right.
word.
So he's kicking facts, right? We definitely have not gatekeeped enough. We left the gate open, and we're kind of trying to do it again with that flat back Japanese rapper that people are getting behind. It's like, yo, are we really just opening the red carpet for another tether to just take our culture over and make $gazillion and leave and become a black or be not she's Japanese, but leave and become a right wing conservative? Like we got to stop. Like, if we do some martial art shit, those folks ain't gonna be parading us around to be the next king of martial arts or whatever Japanese culture. They're not gonna voluntarily just make us the king because because we're making an effort to cosplay as one of them in their culture. All right, let's move on. Another tether right here.
Certain groups that rather than to sit there at the foot of the oppressor's
Yeah.
table begging for crumbs, they empower
Okay, so
themselves.
you heard him. Okay, so now this is a tether talking point. Sitting at the feet of the oppressor begging for crumbs. Now, also, what we got to do is hold them to their homeland enough. Tariq Nasheed does a great job of that. We need to do that more often because what they do, like what they like to do is they like to say they're against us delineating, but they delineate from their homeland immediately. What do I mean? When they come over here, they act like only the ones in this country are from Ghana, or Ghanaians or Nigerian. Like they forget they got a whole shithole homeland of a bunch of because since they're being raw and truthful, I'm gonna be raw and truthful too. They got a shitland homeland with a bunch of failures over there, making mud cakes and eating with dogs, whatever. So if we're gonna be truthful, we're not gonna let you extract yourself from your homeland, come over here, get a tiny, tiny bit of success, and try to act like you represent your homeland, like the populace. No, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. But then won't let our elites represent us. No, 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 no. Your people in your homeland is doing worse than begging for crumbs. They're begging for mud cakes. Okay, they're begging for cow piss on top of their head. So no, we're not going to take that disrespect. We're begging for crumbs. The hell you talking about? We're owed way more than crumbs. So we're definitely not. Reparation ain't no crumb uh, demand. You dig? If it was, they'd have been passed that to us. It's the whole cake. It's the whole loaf of bread. That's why you. That's why they have comebacks like it'll damage the American economy. Well, if it was a crumb, why would that be the rebuttal? If we pay out that sum, the economy will fall. America will no longer. That's the rebuttal. So that's not a crumb. That's the whole big loaf of bread there. But again, but yeah, tethers. and Afrocentrics would come over here and act like we are the ones throwing shade and it's one way. Listen to this fool. We're begging for crumbs.
At the foot of the oppressor's
Yeah.
table begging for crumbs.
Yeah.
They empower themselves and then make it so that they're so financially strong as a community that you cannot deny them.
You can't deny them.
You can't deny
This
it.
is where black people across the world globally we fail at every level socioeconomically.
Yeah. And that's one of the problems I have with those people that call themselves FBA, Foundational Black.
Okay, so here you go. So tethers coming to our country, still our talking points, still our wave, still our fighting spirit, and then try to give answers to the world, and then us. So you're about to hear this say, this is his problem with FBA. Let me just give me a second to plug in this iPad. Okay. Because I'm doing my own version of split screen, and I can't look at the chats from my laptop, so I'm gonna do it from my iPad. All right. Okay, we're back. Now, this is his problem with FBA. They can't wait to mention us.
You can't deny
This
it.
is where black people across the world globally we fail at every level socioeconomically.
Yeah. And that's one of the problems I have with those people that call themselves FBA, Foundational Black Americans, Tariq Nasheed's people. I've had a conversation with, I had a back and forth with Tariq Nasheed. Not because, not personally, but I reviewed something, I said black people in America are going through an identity crisis. They're Hebrew, they're ADOS, they're FBA, they're Muslim, they're all of these things. But
wait, we're Muslim. Yo, there's what? Are you serious? Yo, I don't know where these tethers are from, but if you're from Africa, y'all all Muslims.
Then the African American, they've got so many different facets to them. Identities. And I said it seems like they're going through an identity crisis, right? So
all right, so hold on. So let's stop that point right there. Let's stop that point. All right. He said we are going through an identity crisis. Well, if you're not from the diaspora, you really would never relate. So like I'm done trying to like educate tethers. Now I will embarrass them in front of my family, but I'm done trying to educate and all that good stuff. All right, so let me just make sure I got the right audio because I hate when I do the replay. Like I listen to it over and I didn't choose. Okay, so I got the right audio. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. I wish it could be a little louder than what it is. Hello, hello. Okay, it's decent. I'm just sad it's not louder. I got to put it in my mouth. Pause. I got to put it in my mouth. Yeah. Wow. There got to be a way I can make this louder. Anyway, he said that we have an identity crisis over here. All right. I got something that I want to share. See if I can find it real fast. All right. Like I said, if this guy's from the continent, I don't expect him to get it. But if he's a island tether, yeah, this is just pure hate. All right, let me just find this clip. Give me a second to find this clip. It's one of my favorite clips exposing tethers with identity crisis. Okay. If it takes too long, I'll just come back to it. Wi-Fi acting really shaky outside today. This was my favorite tether. I think I know how to. So I got a clip. If I can't find a clip, I think I know how to find the original video. But I came across something else. Okay, I think I got it. I think I found it. Might have got lucky. I might have gotten lucky. I got too many tabs. I know it's gonna start acting slow. So hopefully this is the clip. Hopefully. Damn. Mother. That ain't the clip. Hmm. So I got something else up though. Uh, what did I call this clip? I used to always play this. All right. Let me just go back up one more time. And then I'll just play what I got. Damn. I should have named it. Sometimes I name a clip for whatever live I'm doing at the time, but I should have named it something where it'd be catchy when I come across it again. Uh, yeah, he might have got lucky for right now. Yes. Okay. All right, screw it. But let me share this though. This is what they won't talk about.
The relationship between Jamaica and its Caribbean neighbor Trinidad and Tobago is once again under the microscope, following news that a group of 12 Jamaicans were denied entry when they landed at the Piarco International Airport on March 21. The recent deportation has sparked another round of intense discussions.
Okay, so let me catch you up. So 12 Jamaicans tried to flee to Trinidad of Tobago, and they denied their entry. They deported them instead. So this caused tensions, right? Relationship tensions between Jamaican president and Trinidad's president. So 12 Jamaicans were denied entry and they were deported right away back to Jamaica. So they're fleeing anywhere but Jamaica. They don't want to be in Jamaica at all.
Many Jamaicans are questioning whether they are being unfairly targeted by Trinidadian immigration officials. Some social commentators.
Okay, so it ain't just America immigration officials that's being blamed, you see? So let me just go back a couple seconds so you can hear it again. So it's about Trinidadian immigration officials blocking Jamaicans from entering the country, and they deported them back to Jamaica, and it has caused tensions amongst Jamaica. They want to know, are they being treated unfairly? Like, hey, why I can't come into your country and bring the same degeneracy that I brought to America, the American blacks?
The relationship between Jamaica and its Caribbean neighbor Trinidad and Tobago is once again under the microscope, following news that a group of 12 Jamaicans were denied entry when they landed at the Piarco International Airport on March 21. The recent deportation has sparked another round of intense discussions, and many Jamaicans are questioning whether they are being unfairly targeted by Trinidadian immigration officials. Some
See?
social commentators argue that the incident could threaten the diplomatic relations between Jamaica and its Caribbean partner. Jamaica's Foreign Affairs Minister, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, says she has been in dialogue with her Trinidadian counterpart, Dennis Moses. The relationship
Anyway,
between Jamaica.
what's this right here?
A new wave of Jamaicans were on Wednesday deported from the United Kingdom. This is since the last mass deportation of 42 persons in September 2016. Large police buses drove the deportees to the Mobile Reserves Unit in Kingston.
So this is Great Britain deporting them. So you just learned that it was the Trinidadians. Now it's Great Britain deporting them in large mass buses. Look.
While since the last mass deportation of a new wave of Jamaicans were on Wednesday deported from the United Kingdom. This is since the last mass deportation of 42 persons in September 2016. Large police buses drove the deportees to the Mobile Reserves Unit in Kingston, while onlookers stood by to watch. According to the National Security Ministry, all legal avenues of appeal in the UK have been exhausted. The ministry said the returnees have no legal rights in the UK and that the government of Jamaica is therefore obligated under international law to receive its nationals on their return.
Oh, really? So why is it a big problem over here?
Speaking at a press briefing following the arrival
They said international law
of the deportees, Assistant Commissioner of Police responsible for Area 4, Devon Watkins, says all is in place to ensure their reintegration into society.
Among the agencies.
Okay, so I ain't gonna play all this. But you see, they being deported left and right from other countries. All right? What is going on in Jamaica? No. Okay, I was trying to see if this was what I was looking for.
Window on the final approach to a land they may have only spent a small portion of their lives in. A sense of wonder at the vibrant, beautiful colors of both land and sea, and the anticipation of a Hibiscus Jamaica provides a similar service for women and children, focusing on social welfare and income generation for those seeking a way to support.
All right, let me just type it in right here, see if it comes up. Okay, this might be it. All right. I remember what the guy. Oh, here. This is it right here. I got it, family. I got it. All right, my bad.
Last week,
Newsnight
reported the leak of a draft review into the Windrush scandal. That review recommended that the government should consider.
I'm trying to press pause to keep going. Okay, so the Windrush was the ship I forgot when I was talking. I think it was to DJ Genesis or somebody. Well, I was just talking in general, but when the Windrush ship was the ship that that was used during World War II for Jamaicans to come to the UK to build back up or like get into work and try to keep the economy going in Great Britain, until the war is over. And once the war is over, they had their own immigration act that said no more Jamaicans. You got to go. If you're not a doctor, if you're not a brain game Jamaican, you got to go. And brain game means the top elite. You got to go. And that thing is still there till today. That was their immigration act. That was like 1962. And then now we're 3 years later, say, hey, come over here. And they play it right over here. All right. So I want y'all to watch what my man said again. We have an identity crisis. Remember? Listen. Where is this fool? Where is this fool? Oh, he over here. Okay, check this out.
The facet, the ADOS, the FBA, the.
Now, but when people call in, when DJ Genesis call in, do they ever consider this? They act like it's just one side. They act like we're not responding, defending ourselves. And sometimes we may preemptively strike.
Muslim, they're all of these things, but then the African American, they've got so many different facets to them. Identities. And I said,
okay, all right. Watch this.
The government
in my chest.
Now he got deported from Great Britain, and he is upset.
I'm watching the news
years ago and spent
2 pairs of jeans in it. I went to college there. I spent my whole life. Been with my partner. We have 2 kids.
He only has grainy memories of.
I've been with my partner about 4.
Now he said partner. He didn't say wife. Now he got deported from Great Britain for stealing. All right. So now he's back in Jamaica and he's like upset and basically crying. Listen.
15 years. I've been with my partner. We have 2 kids. Back in the UK. I've got my dad who lives in the UK. And I'm just here.
Do you feel British or Jamaican?
I feel British.
Okay, so now do Jamaicans have identity problem? He just said, do you feel, now this dude is clearly Jamaican. He said, do you feel Jamaican or do you feel British? My boy said, I feel British. Listen. I know I'm gonna find it.
I've got my dad who lives in the UK. And I'm just here.
Do you feel British or Jamaican?
I feel British.
Okay, so he threw away that Jamaican flag. He picked up the British flag. You see? But we're gonna talk about that, right? So let's just focus on the FBA. These tethers.
And they've got so many different facets to them. Identities. And I said, it seems like they're going through an identity crisis, right? So Tariq Nasheed came out and reviewed the video and said, oh, this guy's British and this guy's...
I think I saw that video.
Do you know what I'm saying? And all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, look.
If you're in their heads...
and I ain't gonna lie, British Jamaicans are the worst Jamaicans you ever meet. These dudes, and they got the nerve. Now, British Jamaicans will never talk about us claiming onto America, right, as our own homeland, because they worship the British Empire, the Queens, and everybody over there. So, like, that will never be their claim. Like, these guys are straight whitewashed. These are the worst type of Jamaicans.
Sorry to cut you. If you're not African American, you're against them. So if you're a real African, the life of somehow colonialism has affected African Americans more than actual people in Africa. And if you're British African, you're from the Queen's land. So you're.
So there's this idea of
nah. See, we were never colonized. That's not even our talking point. We were enslaved. You guys were colonized.
Who's the bigger victim here?
Yeah, basically.
It becomes a victimhood Olympics, doesn't it?
Okay, you heard that? He said it becomes the victim Olympics, and Yvette Carnell spoke to that. Yes, it is. It is welcome to the victim Olympics. You're absolutely correct. We're gonna compare and contrast, right? You guys ain't go through nowhere near no black people on this earth went through anything like us. All right. The second that I could think of, you guys can dig some stuff up and correct me, but the second to us are the South Africans who endured 40-something years of apartheid, right? Of apartheid. If I'm wrong, somebody educate me and give me somebody else. But second to us, I would say are the South Africans that went, that endured that apartheid over there. Okay, so yes, it is the victim Olympics. It definitely is. Because we're the greatest blacks on earth and we've been through the most. We've been deprived the most, sabotaged the most, held back the most, undermined the most. They got whole systems to make sure we never get ahead. Nowhere near where we should be.
You're damn exactly, right. Victimhood Olympics.
Who's winning? And that's what I'm saying. I think African Americans, and correct me if I'm wrong.
In fact, so let me see if I got that. Let me leave this. Go back here. I think I still got it. Let me make sure. Okay, it's not on this one. It's probably on FBA Defensive Unit. I might have saved it here. Nope. Damn. So maybe I ain't save it. But Yvette Carnell spoke about the victim Olympics as what they call it. So they got little popular phraseologies that they use amongst each other. And you just learn victim Olympics. And my fault. My son bumping me as I try to switch YouTube account. bump me again. Oh God, man. All right. If it ain't here, I ain't got it. Okay, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. All right. Anyway, let's finish on Victim Olympics. Matter of fact, let me check the chat real fast. Let me see who's in here. So we got, you scroll to the tippy top. So seven paths of pain, peace. We got the Prince of Paraphernalia, aka the Pop. We got MD Williams. If they are asking about it, they already know, right? So let me give him a wrench. And y'all should know already to just like the video as you come in, and especially when I give you guys a wrench if it's your first time. All right. So yeah, right. When they don't want to get it. So original man, this is the word. It's a slaughter. They don't have a shot. So original man, I'm gonna throw you a wrench. Also, if you just can like the video, you dig. You already know to subscribe. Of course, the Prince of Paraphernalia. I got you, my brother. So borrowed time. Don't forget about the dog market. Those poor dogs. Yeah, exactly. Let me get borrowed time. A wrench. This is my family in here, and we have supporters as well. So we got some non-FBAs who are definitely supportive of everything we're about. Let's stop testing what FBA about, right? So Flat Earth Society. It looks like I believe your FBA is not, but I think you are by your comment. I believe your wrench. We got Sounds Band 2 in the building. Iconic Sus in the building. We got my screen is terrible. I always have to clean it. I don't. We got Piplable Full. We got LL. We got Shorty. We got the family in for sure. We got Vera Sanders, Claude X. This is possibly gonna be a long live because there's a lot of Tether videos. We got Lord Maul in the building. We got Misha in the building. You dig? This is going to be a long live because there's a lot of videos I got. All right, let me just. We got DL in the building. I'm here. Yes. We got Muck Muck. Fort Lang's in the building. He finally caught a live. All right. So let me go back to the hate. The hate is like ridiculous.
I did a video saying black people in the UK have one foot in another country, at least.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? If you're from Zim, you've got one foot in Zimbabwe. If you're from Nigeria, you've got one foot in Nigeria. If you're from Jamaica, you've got one foot in Jamaica. You've got somewhere to go if the ish hits the fan over here. I said African Americans don't.
La. You see that? When ish hit the fan over here, he just admitted to fleeing. He just said, yo, so what, y'all never standing on 10 toes. He just said it. He said 5 toes is in one homeland and 5 toes is in the place where they fled to. So they're never 10 toes down. He just said that them tethers are never 10 toes down like we are. Listen, they are ready to run.
Zimbabwe. If you're from video saying,
hey, yo, they
black people
so much,
in the UK.
Hold on, relax. I'm trying to pause you. Yo, they say so much cowardly stuff that they don't realize it's cowardly. He just bragged about never being 10 toes down, never being thoroughly invested in a country. 5 toes down, 5 toes up. He's ready to run when it goes down. He said it out of his own mouth. Dude, we're not running when stuff goes down. We're 10 toes down. We're swinging and squabbling. We on some Kendrick Lamar. We're gonna squabble up.
Have one foot in another country.
Look at the scared talk.
At least.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? If you're from Zim, you've got one foot in Zimbabwe. If you're from Nigeria, you've got one foot in Nigeria. If you're from Jamaica, you've got one foot in Jamaica. You've got somewhere to go if the ish hits the fan over here. I said African Americans don't.
Uh-oh.
They've cut all their ties and said Africans are this, Caribbeans are this, blah, blah, blah. So they got nowhere to go. And I'm saying, so when that shit.
Yeah, you hear this? Yeah, now that's gaslighting. All right. So we do got somewhere to go. It's called America. And we're staying here. We're not going anywhere like you guys. You guys flee for a reason. What's our reason to flee? Now all this scared talk if ish hit the fan. What are you talking about, bro? Like ish been hitting the fan here since we've been here. So we're like immune to stuff ish hitting the fan. What are you talking about, man? Like these guys got scare tactics and now he's projecting. Yo, this is the absolute example of a tether projecting their experience, their fear onto us. He just said the 1 foot in theory. Dude, we got 2 feet. You're right. We got nowhere to go. We're here. We're in the best country on earth. We speak the best language on earth. We're good. We got the best culture on earth. Yeah, you know what I mean? We good.
Shit goes down, you're going down with it, bro.
I think even Africans because Africans will usually travel to, let's say Nigerians, for example, would usually travel to the West, either America or the UK, and their experience of schooling in America compared to the UK is unquestionable.
Yeah.
Like they all say growing up in the US school that they were just bullied, they had big lips, your hair, from other black people.
Yeah.
Okay, now you know they lying because hella black people, hella FBAs are dark as hell. They got big lips and broad nose. He's completely lying. I thought it was the African booty scratcher thing. Now what we're doing? Now what we're doing now? Like, I mean, the lies that they would tell to try to cause an argument for themselves for why they are attacking us. And again, when you peel the onion back, he just said schools. So if this is partially true, we're talking about children. Like, okay, children do children things. It's goofy, immature. That's what children. That's why they don't get penalized like an adult. They're immature, right? They need to be taught a lesson. If what he's saying is partially true, I don't believe none of it because there's so many foundation. Like, look at LeBron James' nose. Is that tiny? Like, why don't you go Google what's my man name? Basketball dude, 101 dude. I hate to put him on blast, but his nose, he got a big nose. But again, just lying on us. And that's why we must delineate. See, they prove why we should delineate. Hope y'all guys clipping this stuff.
From other black people. Yeah. So those same black people want to grow up and then say, well, I'm African American. Okay. In what way? Because the people that you're supposed to be looking after, you bullied. And now you're looking for a home and there's no home for you. So what's going
on? Look, gaslighting. No, we do have a home. It's called America. You're just mad that we're on the best country on the planet in world's history. You're just mad. And for you to get here, you gotta bend backwards, coon, do what you're doing right now, or sneak over here. This is what family. This is what jealousy looks like. This guy, these three soft men right there.
on?
Yolanda, peace.
Well, this is the thing I've always like. That's one of the things I always say. I want African Americans to prosper. Like, I want black people around the world. I don't care where you're from. I want you to prosper. But it's like, if you're gonna like hate on other black peoples from around the world, I'm just like,
makes no sense. Because
wait. He said we're hating. What are we? And Tariq always says, "What are we hating on? Like, what do you guys do better than us that we got to hate on? What do you got? Yo, the white man left y'all countries and let you guys flourish. They let you guys lead yourselves and create your own. The governments. They let you do all that stuff. Politics. They let you trade. They let you decide which white man you're going to work with. You want to get rid of the French and take on the Russian. Yeah, you're free to do all these things and you're still failing. We're the only blacks, and well, not only blacks, because the South Africans are being marginalized to a great degree, but we are the main blacks that are marginalized and defranchised and making sure there's a lopsidedness and when it comes to opportunities.
But you want to be the bigger victim. That's our generation, though, isn't it? Everybody wants to be a victim of something because it alleviates yourself of having to take responsibility for your own actions.
Okay, so what's our actions? What's the actions that we don't want to be accountable for? And they are great with having these tethered discussions amongst themselves. Matter of fact, look, they ain't get no damn views. They got 110,000 subscribers, only 3.8 views in 1 year. That's horrible. Dang, come on, type and get better. All right, hopefully I can get one of those guys over here. All right, next.
The zone of questioning whether the GPAs and SAT scores of these black students should have earned them a spot in this school, you don't have enough people left to make a genuine argument. Because assuming all students who are descendants of slavery got kicked out today and replaced with more deserving students, you've opened up maybe 50 spots at a school. That is the most frustrating part about this whole affirmative action shit.
How to tackle $40,000 in credit card debt in 2025. Every month, I barely scrape by.
Account where I got the premium.
When I watched that video, at first it took me a while to understand what she was saying. I can't even say I understand everything she was trying to say, but I think I understand the bottom line of what she was saying. But she basically had to say so many things before she got to the point, right? And there were a lot of people in the comments.
Yeah, now you could tell this woman. Now look, black is beautiful, no matter what shade of black you are. But you should be confident in your shade. Okay, this chick is. You could tell she's dark as midnight, but she puts so much makeup on. She damn near look like Beyonce color. Like these people dealing with so much self-hatred, and they got a nerve to lecture.
Section that misunderstood what she was saying and also took offense with what she was.
Look at her chest compared to her face.
Saying, because I mean, even I too, like when she said descendants of slavery, I was like, oof, okay, I know that's a term, ADOS, that a lot of our African American cousins used to refer to themselves as well. But I don't know, there's just something about descendants of slavery. I don't like that term, especially if it's coming from other parts of the diaspora. I feel like I don't like using that as a way to distinguish between us.
Wait, what? So, but isn't the term Jamaican is a way to distinguish between those particular blacks and all the other blacks in the world? Isn't the term Nigerian or Fulani or Igbo, aren't those terms to separate themselves from each other that live next door to each other? Right? How do you know Fulani from an Igbo? So you could look at their practices and probably what they got on. You dig the Hootsies and Tootsies. Why is there a distinction there? Why aren't they the same? But they got different names and they're like the same people. Look at the Sudanese people. They're all Sudanese, but they got different names. What about the Ethiopians? You got Ethiopians who split away from the other Ethiopians and said we're Eritreans, and nobody says that delineation was wrong. Ethiopians literally drew a physical line, like we just drawing a paper line. You dig? These dudes drew a physical line and said, "We're over here, y'all stay over there. We're no longer Ethiopian. We're Eritrean." And nobody batted an eye. Like nobody said, "Hey man, these guys are divisive." But a tether not liking the term ADOS. What else is new?
I'd rather just say African Americans. But anyway, whatever. I don't think she meant that in a disrespectful way. I think it was other things she said in that video. So in the comment section, she was going back and forth with some people that disagreed with what she said, some people who also agreed with what she said. So she was trying to give more context to explain what she meant. So she made some other videos. I'm just going to go right ahead and play her other videos.
No, because this is precisely the point that I'm trying to make. I've made this point in multiple videos in the past, but at the end of the day, the model minority myth is not something that only happens when we're talking about Asian students. It happens when we're talking about African versus African American students as well. Because the fact of the matter is, acknowledging America's past and present with white supremacy is not profitable. They are not going to make a check by having an...
Wait, I want to hear that. I want to hear that tether.
People. They're doing great in life. If you're a black person not doing great in life, that's a personal failing and not an effect of white supremacy. These black people are not like those other black people. Look at Faber. Both her parents hold. Look at...
All right.
So...
I ain't gonna play all this stupid shit. Okay. Where's my favorite tether?
Generally perform black natives. I tried to get the specific numbers from these two studies, but they were behind a paywall, so they're there. It's That's where this extensive study is quoting from. I recommend reading this study. It's very interesting. Second, white and black Africans' children are therefore less likely to live in single-parent families. As I said, more likely to have household.
These are just white conservative talking points. Well, I don't know. Maybe she not. I don't know. I prematurely said that. I don't know where she's going, and I don't have the patience. So let me get back to who I know is a tether and I
rub me off the wrong way. But before I talk about what I think, let me go right ahead and play people's responses and stitches to her original video.
Black African students are more likely to have come from a two-parent household.
All right. I don't know where they're going, but what they're talking about, I know a lot about, and I don't want to hear Tether ramble on that. Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell doesn't do enough lying, and Candace Owens. We don't need tethers to repeat their talking points.
Is trying to talk about the fact that them taking away affirmative action, is not really going to reduce the number of black students that attend these universities, because a lot of these black students in the universities are African students who already have some certain kind of qualifications that allow them to get into these universities because of some kind of privilege that are exposed to, having two-parent homes and their parents, having higher education and being of a certain kind of economic status and stuff like that. She's trying to say that the students that are in these universities are not even there in the first place because of these programs that are supposed to be as a result of affirmative action, right? And then another point she was trying to make is the fact that a lot of the opportunities that were created for African Americans are being taken advantage of by African students. A lot of the people in the comment section were actually agreeing with her.
Yeah, that's a fact.
A lot of African students were saying the same thing. A lot of Caribbean students as well were saying the same thing, because at the end of the day, we are all black. But this opportunity.
Here we go. We're all black. Oh, God. And then they're not black, right? So they're like selectively black. Okay. They cherry pick when they're black.
Specifically created to help the African Americans, but somehow under the bracket of all of us being black, other black people who are not African Americans are benefiting off of these different programs, right? Another takeaway that I have from what she said is the fact that Africans are actually part of the model minority. I never thought about this. Whenever I hear model minority, I always think Asians. But I'm realizing that Africans are actually part of the model minority, because Africans are a group of black people that the white supremacist people use as an example to, shame African Americans and be like, if it was about skin color, how come those other black people, the ones from Africa, are making it? How come they are getting educated? How come they are achieving this and that? You see that it's not about color. These black people are doing well. It's not about color. It's because of you guys. You guys are lazy and this and that. So Africans have become a model minority. And a lot of Africans are actually playing into this model minority myth, which is harmful. It is harmful to our African American cousins. And I think that is where I have a problem with what this young lady was saying in the video. She was trying to make a point, talking about how removing affirmative action is not really going to make much difference, because at the end of the day, it wasn't really doing much in the first place. But when she now started going deep and talking about the differences between the African Americans and the Africans, that was where I had the problem. And in her other video, she was talking about how the diaspora was as stupid, not knowing that the things she was saying are the reason why there are even diaspora wars in the first place. We know that we are all African descendants, everybody of the African diaspora. We know that we have different cultures. We are like different ethnic groups, but within the same race, within the same family. But when you try to be like, oh, we have a leg up on them because we mostly come from two-parent homes, because we mostly have better results, we can afford to go to better schools, our parents are usually more educated, that is where I have a problem. And not to bring my people down or anything, but a lot of people, a lot of Africans that migrate to America and other Western countries are not the average Africans. It is usually the higher middle class and above. The people that are from the lower middle class downwards cannot afford to go to these countries and live the kind of lifestyle.
All right, now that part is true, right? She's talking about hyperselection, which I talk about a lot over here, that I borrow from Tone Talks. All right, so that part is true.
That this young lady and her family are privileged to be a part of. So you cannot say, oh, the Africans usually.
See, but here's the thing, though, that the sister brought up, the FBA sister brought up earlier. How is it? See, affirmative action, DI, and all that type stuff shouldn't just be for minorities. If you're in a certain wealth bracket, you shouldn't qualify. Like, I just thought about that. Like, cause yeah, a lot of these Nigerians are coming over here. When she said it herself earlier, a lot of these Nigerians are coming over here with wealth, top education, right? Top, because they're the top 5%, top 10% of their country. So why are they getting breaks? Like, we don't forget, like, these programs were supposed to be like some type of equity thing, like to kind of like balance it out a little bit between us and white people. It's supposed to help us catch up a little bit. But if you come over here already caught up, why are you taking advantage of a seat where one of us could be sitting at, getting these opportunities? That's interesting.
Do better in school. They're usually coming from two-parent homes. It is not every African that comes from two-parent homes. It is not every African that has parents that are well educated, like she said in that video. So
no, yeah, that's listen. If there's an African over here, listen, family. If there's a person from the continent, one of those 54 countries, and they're over here and they're not highly selected, if there's an Indian that's over here and they're not highly selected, if there's a Chinese man that's over here and they're not highly selected, they most likely got over here through asylum seeker status or refugee status. That means they're broke. That means they represent the populace. Broke, uneducated, illiterate, horrible IQ test scores, things like that. Because America is a brain game country. We like to take on your top educators and top wealth creators and bring them over here to make America greater. We like to take on the burden. That's why like a lot of Hispanics who are over here illegally, none of them are really highly skilled, highly educated, or have any wealth. And they are the typical ones to join gangs and be violent. But the Hispanics that come over here legally, like they're in the class where they're going to be a great neighbor. They're going to add to the society, to the economy. They won't be a burden, right? It's the ones who get over here illegally. No, they can't make that cut because they already got a criminal past.
You comparing the Africans that are there because they have a certain kind of class, they meet a certain kind of, socioeconomic class, and comparing it to the African Americans over there as if every African is doing better than every African American. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that is the thing.
Not.
Over here, there are people that don't even have a degree. Over here, there are people that are struggling to feed. There are people that do not come from two-parent homes. There are people that do not have that higher education and cannot even afford to get it. So don't make generalizations like, oh, the Africans.
Yo, hey, do you want to form an LLC for $0 plus the state fees? Wow, in your cozy pajamas.
Come from two-parent homes. Like, I don't know. To me, it sounded condescending. And I feel like she's young. She's still going to learn. But there are still some biases that she needs to unpack. A lot of Africans, I'm not going to lie, a lot of us, because we are ignorant about our history, we don't even know anything about slavery and the whole African diaspora, except when we begin to learn, make conscious efforts to learn on our own. Because of that ignorance, we have bought into a lot of stereotypes. She was saying a lot of things, generalizing the African Americans to make it look like a lot of them don't come from two parents.
Okay, she ain't saying that. She's just ranting. All right. So here we are.
They come from London.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all know who this guy is, but I barely know who he is. But he was covering the Diddy trial. They was calling him Unc.
They come from Ghana. They come from Nigeria. They come from Jamaica. They come from Haiti.
Academics was promoting him.
Haiti. They come from the Dominican Republic. They come from Cuba. They come from Puerto Rico. MZ got that soul glow. Zane, I appreciate
the white piece.
They come from Grenada. They come from Guyana. They come from Rwanda. They come from Somalia. They come from Ethiopia. They come from Morocco. They come from Sudan. They come from all over the world. And they too share the black skin that I share. They be brown. They look like me, but they not real soul brothers. See what I'm saying? The soul brother, the true soul brother, is the brother, the black man that was a slave here, that's been here.
Okay, somebody just stop him when he's lying. All right, if he's not lying, don't stop him.
That can trace his ancestry way back, way over there. If you can't trace your bloodline all the way back here to the trees that we hung from here, to the cotton fields that we picked here, to the mules that we plowed here, you understand? Then you not, sorry about that, y'all. You not the real soul brother, you understand?
10 people ain't like the video. Just 10 people. Come on, those 10 folks. Come on, like the video.
All right, there we go. We locked in. I'm gonna put the link up. Clipboard. That's the link for the hoodie right there. If you want to get this hoodie. Man ain't got no plan.
Hey, peace and love, family. I had to whip out my feds for this lesson today. I mean, I'm gonna go in pretty deep, but I'm gonna try and make this one as short as possible, get to the point so that it won't be too long so I can share it on all social medias and really get my point across. But I wanna go in on foundational Black American versus Moorish American. Now, the brother Tariq Nasheed, you know, famous for the Hidden Colors movie, he knows who the Moors are. You know, he's in certain videos admitted about, you know, Moors having certain legal strategies that are good or, you know, could be helpful in certain situations. But
Now, I ain't never heard Tariq Nasheed admit that the Moors got good legal strategies that can be helpful. He always considered that plebiscite babble. So no, and look, I'm gonna do a couple live reactions on the plebiscite babble videos where he was talking to the Black Moors and he was talking about they're not driving, they're traveling, and they got a contract with the Moorish nation, and therefore they're not held by the jurisdiction of the United States government. Yeah, no. Tariq Nasheed, he has always called that plebiscite babble.
But he's also been talking a little
Carlos,
greasy lately, so you know, I just want to correct a few things so you know we set the record clear today. First things first, I would qualify as what Tariq Nasheed calls a foundational Black American. So I can trace my lineage, my family on my daddy's side and my mama's mama's side, all the way back to Texas. You know, in the 1800s, 1890s, maybe even a little bit further, according to ancestry and things of that sort. So I don't want to be misconstrued as a foreigner or somebody that's coming in as what he calls a tether,
Yeah,
trying
you gotta make that
to
known.
bring this argument. I want everyone to know that's listening that I'm also
Same day,
what they would
peace.
consider a so-called foundational
All
Black
right,
American.
okay, but
But
just get
the
to your
term
Moorish.
Moorish American is just more legally appropriate and
You heard
has
this guy?
actually been around a lot.
He said Moorish American is more legally appropriate. Right. We don't even know any Moorish Americans. Yeah, I've never seen an application that said, "What are you? Black, white, Asian, non-Hispanic, non-this, Black American." I've never seen one that said Moorish American. He said this is more legally recognized. Dude, stop.
A lot longer. So the fact that we started being called Black.
Hey, yeah, these guys be the main ones trying to educate police officers as they're getting arrested. It's like, dude, I thought you were more legally recognized. It looks like when I make contact with a police officer, they know that I'm a Black American and foundational. So it looks like they legally recognize me. But when you make contact with a police officer, y'all normally go in handcuffs. I'll pass.
Negroes, African Americans, coloreds, and all that thing. That stuff came because of slavery. But pre-slavery, we were known here on this land as Moorish Americans.
Cap.
And I'm gonna show that pretty soon. Oh, and just for the record, I am 100% for our people, the so-called foundational Black Americans or Moorish Americans, who are the descendants of slavery.
Now look, you know the hypocrisy that they would say, "Hey man, you can't trace your lineage. How do you know you're foundational Black American? How do you distinguish?" But this guy could sit here and just plaster where he don't know anything about me. He knows nothing about Carlos, Mesha. I'm saying your name wrong, Mesha. He's an agent. He knows nothing about Diamond, Dwight. I'm just reading the names that's in the chat. I'm here. Iconic. He knows Muck. He knows nothing about you guys, but he'll sit there. He knows nothing about your ancestry, your lineage, or your DNA results. But he'll sit there and call you a Moor.
Getting reparations for the wrongs that were done, for us being enslaved, throughout those periods of time. We can argue on how long it was, but I am 100% for reparations, just to set the record clear on that.
All right.
This is my family tree.
All right, but let's get to your Moorish
in 1840. So, oh yeah, and it says nationality was German. All right, so
let me go back to plebiscite Babel.
About 1897, Houston, Harris County right now, turned Black because. All right, so let's dive in just a little bit into this term Black. Because the brother Tariq Nasheed in his Hidden Colors series has done very well for breaking down.
Now this is a book he wrote, by the way. This ain't even a real book. This is something he got done. He got put together at Staples, a little packet. This is his research. This ain't some scholar. This is his research about Black.
This point that I'm about to make, him and other scholars that were on there, but basically it's showing that in this slide here that the Black race does not exist, but was theorized by Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. I hope I said that right. That's like German or something like that,
Yeah, but here's the thing though. I'm here. Say I know a little bit about. Again, my name is Unbiased Ron. I do a lot of research. There's not too many topics people could talk about. I don't know. I even know about this Moorish stuff. I know about the Moorish Morocco, not Moor. Let me stop saying Moor. I know about Morocco's and America's partnership. I know their allegiance. I know how Morocco helped America, go through the sea, travel, export, import, make trades, and America looked them out when the Berlin Conference happened and Europeans was taking over, colonizing everybody. When they went to colonize and attack Morocco, America defended Morocco. So and they have a great allegiance today. I know about all of that. But what's not true is all this. America don't have jurisdiction. You're not driving. You're traveling. All that is pseudoscience. And again, I could put the phone number. It ain't personal. It's about information. So if anybody think you can travel without a driver license and you're not bound by the jurisdiction, and black really means white, a free white person, and a free white person is somebody who's enslaved, so it can't be white people. White people are illegal to the country. All that little garbage. Listen, like I said, I'm well versed in all of that, and this is off the fly. But if anybody want to argue his position, this legal status stuff, just call in, and we'll just show how it works out in court. I'll just play video after video after video with these Moors catching L's in court. Every Moor I ever known lost their jobs, all of them.
And you know, this brother was born in 1752, died in 1840.
Global peace.
So, oh yeah, and it says nationality was German.
Yeah, so in my opinion, they get their knowledge from white supremacists, because the sovereign citizen movement was way before this traveling doctrine that Noble Drew never talked about, right? So I think the white man did this thing like 30s or 40s, and these conscious folks, these Afrocentrics, picked it up like mid 60s, and they just retwisted it and blackened it. But it comes from really just white people, Confederates, who are mad that the government had pretty much forced federalism over the states, you know, things like that. So they always felt like, hey, too much government. This is the average white conservative talking points right now about governments, about welfare, and all this stuff that they want to get rid of. But they were those white folks were more extreme. And this is the black Moors had taken that doctrine and just blackened it and went a little more crazier with it.
All right. So basically, you know, black is a relatively new term that's out here, you know, but we've always been known as Moorish American, and the source I'm about to show is actually...
Okay, so now, listen. I don't mind having this discussion, all right? But if what you're saying is true, just ask for the phone number. Y'all know my best friend ChatGPT. So, and none of y'all gonna beat, and even myself, nobody's gonna beat ChatGPT. So if what you're saying is true, which I know it's not, because I already debunked that old boy, you're talking about the second constitution that Baba was talking about on Sinetta TV, and he said 1791. I know you're gonna say the Black Law Dictionary edition 4, page 792. I already know all of where you're going. I got a whole thing debunking all that stuff. It's garbage, and there's no special privileges. But again, just call in and let's just have this conversation. I'd rather not. Just enjoy it. But I don't mind being challenged. But I accept challenges. My nickname is the Can Man. Anybody can get it. Africans, Mexicans, Dominicans, anybody can get it. But it's all love. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to block you or time you out. It's just informational. It's just InfoWars. Present what he got, and I present what I got. And we'll see who truth stands the test.
Actually going to approve and be around this same time period, contemporary with
Mike Cooley, peace.
Blumenbach. All right, now this book here, Morocco as It Is.
I told you.
As you can see at the bottom, I've highlighted it was published in 1893. So it was written before then, would have been around the same time period as Johann Blumenbach.
The Blumenbach, get master stuff. IBM be talking all this Blumenbach stuff. Like, come on, man. Like this is literally plebiscite babble. Come on.
Around, you know. So he was contemporary to this knowledge as well. He would have known what was going on. So, you know, in here, in this book, in several different pages, this is 269, they mention Moorish
people in production
and Moorish peoples. So, you know, there's one spot that says, his face, however, was radiant with delight. The strange Moorish...
Okay, look. Now, this ain't... So what we don't do is the white man said it, so it's true. Right? We don't do that. Like, we do scholarship here. Okay, who corroborates this? Who signed off to this? Because a lot of white people say stuff and it gets debunked all the time. But show me in this document where he said listen, so they pick and choose. In this document, he want to establish the word Moorish American was used by this white man. Okay, but I guarantee you, if I go do a quick synopsis through ChatGPT, this book, I guarantee you they don't say the Moorish Americans got special privileges, no 1790, nothing in here. I guarantee you, if I ChatGPT a quick synopsis of this writing right here, if it's true, and ask them, is this writing implying that the Moors get special privileges and all this? Can they travel without a driver's license? Whatever he's talking about, I guarantee you, but hell no. Because ChatGPT, yo, it goes crazy on pseudo information.
American companion of mine. You know, this was a European that went over to Morocco in his book, and he was writing about things that were going on. And at the time, they.
Hey, 24. Let me answer your question. Like, y'all worry about the wrong things. Why do you care? Yes, my family. If you're FBA supporter, you got a wrench. Why? What's the problem? Wait, everybody got a wrench? What's the problem? Are you FBA? If not, tell me, so I could take your wrench.
They were calling brothers.
Right. I get back to this garbage. Let me go to the next tether.
Michelle Maisel, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to share with you all this video clip, and then I'm going to come back and talk about it. So let's get into it.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, I'm going to talk.
Afro Think Tank is a tether. So now she's representing a clear tether who is disingenuous, misinformation. He's been called out by me and a plethora of other people. He does not accept any debates. He accepts no challenges. He accepts no conversation, no dialogues, nothing. And his channel, he just rant and just be hurt over FBA standing strong and delineating. So we're not even going to play him. Let's get your words. Okay, let's get to your words. Here you go. Gonna play Afro Think Tank like he's the authority of.
Where people are silencing voices all on social media. You say things that they don't agree with. You say things that they don't like, and they attack. They are attacking people on social media.
All right. So, okay. So let me just you eager. Okay. So you're from where he at? Let me stop this. I can't find your name, bruh. Oh, I gotta make it live. Okay. Can this thing stop moving? Where are you? There you go, 24. Okay, 24. There you go. So 24 asked a question. Okay, so this video is not going to pause. So 24. So you asked the question. You said, does everybody got a wrench? Well, everybody but you. All right. Yeah, so everybody got a wrench, you don't.
Media in order to silence their voices, and that's just crazy. That's the day and age that we're living in, that we can't have a healthy debate. You know, I think of Lean on Me with Joe Clark and his best friend.
Yeah, but I gotta time you out though. You support, that's fine. I gotta time you out because you're distracting. Like we got a whole show here, bro. Talk about the show or go. Oh, that's a great phrase. That's a great jingle. Talk about the show or go.
How they were going at it in the boardroom. A lot of comments on my videos from people who identify themselves as FBA or Foundational Black Americans. And just like he said, I'm not going to say that their comments are, are stupid or, whatever he said. I can't remember.
All right. So, all right. Peace, the Holy FBA Codex TV1. Hey, let me FLA trucker. Let me do this right fast. So 1790 South Carolina Sundry Act. Explain that real fast. Explain what happened with that act. All right, cause you keep putting in the chat. I'm a fact check it right now. Okay, the 1790 South Carolina Act. No, Sundry Act. Sundry Act All right. So you either right or wrong. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But it's my duty to fact check. Sundry Act. There were black people in Morocco. Wait, I don't even black people. And then what? So you said in 1790, South Carolina's Sundry Act is proof once upon a time there were black people in Morocco until slavery was instituted. They don't bring up that treaty, I believe. So what happened though? Like, what about it? Oh, so I'm sorry. I'm over here like half reading your information. So I'm here. It says, okay. So my bad. I'm here. I'm reading your information in the wrong light. So you said Moore Sundry Act of 1790, South Carolina. This act granted special legal status to several Moorish individuals, asserting that because they were subjects to the. Oh yeah, I mean I could believe that. Like yeah, I could believe that there were some Moorish people over here, and they had like what's that? What's that status? Immunity. What's that thing called? Um, Diplomatic immunity. Like I could believe something like that. Like America has foreign relationships, and when the foreign officials come over here, I'm sure they get diplomatic immunity. Yeah, I don't see the big deal with that. But that don't. I mean, hold on. Uh, yeah, so you might be right, and they might be twisting that to extend to them as well. Legal. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, if you're saying that there were some Moorish officials in this country, right? Because America did foreign relationships with Morocco, and they came over here to visit. Cause the same thing, like when American officials go over to Morocco, they get the same diplomatic immunity over there.
Remember what he said. I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say that their comments are unnecessary. A lot of times they insert themselves in a conversation that has nothing to do with foundation.
All right. So now, no, wait, not. I'm here. You bugging now. Nobody was kidnapped from Africa. I already debunked that yesterday. Nobody was kidnapped from Africa. Well, I'm sorry. A little bit of people were kidnapped from Africa, and Africa retaliated and became very bloody, and Europeans stopped. That was around the early 1400s to the early 1500s, right? They stopped. It wasn't millions of nothing, right? It was a little bloody war or like a bloody fight, and the Europeans gave up. And then they came back in the early 1700s, and they went and they purchased Black people or Africans from Africans. Okay, so nobody on the most of what the 12.8 million people that helped create the transatlantic slave trade, they were bought, they were sold. Okay, there was a buyer and seller. They were not kidnapped. That's a false narrative that Afrocentrics are trying to push.
National Black Americans. A lot of what I share on my YouTube channel is really not a conversation that has anything to do with foundational Black Americans. But every time they comment, they have to make sure they put that title in there somewhere so that I'm aware that a foundational Black American has made. use and how they try to has nothing to do with the video whatsoever.
Look, it says now the Moors were in Europe during the 1400s and 1600s. Now she's telling you, see, everybody talking about Moors now. Y'all bring up more. This dude, this Moors guy brought up Moor. The chat bring up Moor. Now she's bringing up the Moors.
He has the most disrespectful graded into. Give you a short little synopsis every time I'm.
Okay, yeah, she's just boring. So yes, so their most views come from when they put FBA or Foundation Black Americans in their title. Okay, that's the most views they get, and they're realizing that, and they keep just doing it over and over. Just look at the channels. So I'm like, well, shit, I'm gonna do it. Like, why we can't, you dig, get the clout from our own lineage? Like, I'm not gonna have Tethers just talk about us and get all the views and clout, and we can't talk about ourselves and set the record straight in a positive light. No, I'm not gonna let y'all do FBA reaction videos or diaspora wars or Tariq videos and do reactions, and we just stay quiet while you guys rewrite history and change the narrative. No, I'm gonna do a reaction video to put the narrative right back in the proper place, the proper context, and we're gonna shine.
Of our own.
Now, I cannot stand this damn Tether right here, man. This dude calls himself Dr. David Roos. I can't stand this Tether.
Separate from the quote unquote British nationality that was given to us, even though the people have been in there since 1609. Black people have been in Bermuda from the time of Jamestown. That was very important for the settlement of the United States in general. So being there for so long, you actually, like you said, have created a whole new people, a whole new generation of people. But what I didn't like when some of the other presenters have talked about it, and
here we go with these Tethers want to tell us what they don't like about our
One effective treatment for ED, hair loss, weight loss, or mental health.
Is crazy, yo. They get to tell us what they don't.
Importantly,
like, they get to come in our spaces. Look at the entitlement. They get to come in our spaces and tell us what they don't like about what we say about ourselves. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Brother Lex, he will speak about it this way. Even Brother Lord Abba will speak about it this way. Is when they discount the African aspect, because what ties in the FBA, the FBB, and in my case, I'm calling it the FBC, Foundation of Black Caribbeans, is the African root. It's the African.
Look. Tethering on to what we do. Now we got Foundation of Black Caribbeans. Look, he's gonna say FBB. I think he already said it. Foundation of Black British. Yo, these guys are just, they're never creative. They're never innovative. They are not inventors. They just follow our lead, and then they'll say they created it, like hip hop.
Genesis of all of those groups. My last point, and I want you to speak on this. If you go on Google, on YouTube, you'll see a video that the eminent professor within our family, John Henry Clark, did, called Africans in the Making of America, 1619 to 1776. Are you familiar with that video that he did? Can you hear me?
You're going in and out. You good?
I said, are you familiar with the video that John Henry Clark has done? It's called Africans in the Making of America, 1619 to 1776.
So now, don't fall for this one. Don't fall for where they try to make John Henry Clark your leader. Like, whatever he says goes. John Henry Clark got some stuff right. He got some stuff wrong. Okay? I got him red-handed being wrong. And I got him out of his own mouth saying he purposely wrong literary work to hide certain truths, certain ugly truths from people he admired. Okay? So, for example, he said when he was writing a book on Marcus Garvey, he said he purposely omitted some of the scams, some of the issues he was having with his first wife. He said he purposely omitted it because he said sometimes the truth needs to be left out. So he admitted to like plagiarizing his own work. to make somebody look great. That's John Henry Clark. So when you say something like that, I'm good with you. I'm good. Because now everything you say is questionable. Because who knows when you're leaving out stuff to make it look so great. Ain't that what white supremacy do? Don't they leave out details to make their history feel so great? Yeah, so we're not playing that game, bro. We got a high standard. We're representing true Black excellence.
6.
I think, yeah, oh yeah, Mr. Clark. Yes, I watched that in the past. Yes, a little.
Yeah,
I remember.
it's an old video where he's being interviewed. But in that video, he specifically outlines in detail the interface between Africans as well as Africans in the Caribbean and how they played a central role in coming back and forth from the Caribbean into America long before, the times of the civil rights and so on and so on. So
absolutely. I can speak on that.
Would you be able to speak on that so that people are aware of that they shouldn't discount and try to separate the brothers in the Caribbean and the brothers in Africa from this new movement that is happening?
So let's stop right there. I mean, I'm like, a lot of us right now is like, what is going on? Dude, the separation is natural. You're not a foundational Black American. That's just the obvious truth. That's the obvious truth. You're not a foundational Black American. So we're stating the obvious. We're a foundational Black American. We're not Haitian. We're not Ethiopian. We're not Sudanese. We're not Eritrean. How by admitting that truth is causing division and hatred and conquering? That's crazy. So when you guys say you're Haitian and Ethiopian, you guys are doing the same thing we're doing? So if that's true, then you guys been through the first punches hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Foundation Black American, this is a new term that we're using to distinguish ourselves from the rest of Black people in the world, because we're late. You guys been doing it. We're late to the party, but that's why I need these guys. I need to talk to these guys over here, because we ain't gonna let them rant for hours. No, we're gonna get right to it. Because you see, when their leader Baba Smalls was pushed, he told Tariq Nasheed, "Yo, Black people in America, with slave roots, they have the right to self-identify." And Baba Smalls said he is also Foundation Black American and he's Pan-Africanist. That's what he said. So is Baba Smalls causing division as well? We got to start doing that. We got to start pushing Baba Smalls in their face like they do us. We got to start pushing Baba Smalls. So was he wrong when he said FBA, he's FBA, and how FBA is necessary today? Like, we have a right to self-identify. Was he wrong? Was he lying? Was he causing division? Was he starting trouble?
So that's why I'm foundational African American, because I'm an African. I also recognize the vernacular of English that we created, AAVE, African American Vernacular English, what some people call it Ebonic or whatever, to our Gullah Geechee brothers and sisters in South Carolina, or the brothers and sisters in Louisiana. We know about the French purchase and all that, which is also part of the creolization of America. But we also have to represent the Haitian element that's been going in and out of America. In the late 1800s, they were being used in the military in Georgia, and also they went into Louisiana at a later time. Also, we have to talk about Dusabo, the founding father of Chicago. A lot of the Haitians was used as scouts.
Now, by the way, but Ngozi, Street Sufi, you got to also talk about how they volunteered their services to fight with the British. In the what was that? What war were the American Revolutionary War, I think it was. So what they did was, like, they were fighting with certain Europeans because they were fighting for freedom. They was hoping to get some type of benefit out of it. So they weren't fighting for us, they was fighting for themselves. Just like when we fought in the Civil Rights War, I'm lying. When we fought in the Civil War, we weren't fighting for Black people globally, we were fighting for ourselves. So we just got to be honest when we fight, what are we fighting for? the civil rights movement. We were not fighting for everybody black. We were fighting for ourselves, but that was going to be the trend, right, for everybody else to do it in their homeland, not come over here and leech off our shit. But they were supposed to do it in their own homeland, start their own civil rights movement. Never did. They came over here, wrote our coattail, and then started talking trash some years later.
At a specific time period, the people of Haitian descent that was going back and forth to France. A lot of the people in the Bahamas and on Barbados crossing in through Carolina.
African community says FBV. What does that stand for? Foundational Black Vultures? What does that stand for? Yeah.
Carolina. The Caribbean Africans always played a role in a phase of African in America. See, the thing is about America is that it's a hotel. It doesn't belong to anybody. It's a capitalistic monster driven by, you know, the idea of what they label as democracy, but it's a monster in a machine. It's like a prostitute. It doesn't belong to anybody. And the problem is that this is why everybody and anybody can come here and sell subsexual cultural aspects. So when it comes to the African American, because, for example, your earliest ancestors came, or which is still your ancestors because you're West African man, your earliest ancestors came in the late 1500s, before even 1619. There also was a later underground African slave trade after 1865. So what I'm saying is that because the African American represent a hodgepodge history in layers, it's impossible to deny the Caribbean elements. And as I stated earlier, a lot of these areas, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, these parts are part of North America. They're part of North America. They're not part of the United States. But if you look at the surrounding countries around the United States, you're going to see, or the places of North America, they're part of North America. Now, when it comes to the United States, that's another thing. The United States has a history. You got to study when these Europeans was fighting each other before they unified, when America wanted to branch off from the UK over the taxes and different things that was going on, the war that they had, and the groups of people that were used in America, these Africans that was used. These foundational African Americans that was used. So as a foundational African American, we definitely, or for me and people that's running with the movement, we definitely respect the Caribbean element. It's hard to find an African American who don't have it further back in time. I'm certain, crossing through Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana, there's a deep Caribbean tie somewhere down the line, even though if it doesn't even show up on 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. When you look at the old Georgians and the old people of Carolina and the old people of Louisiana, when you go further back in time, you're going to find somewhere deep in time some Caribbean elements there. And it's hard to really, without paperwork, this is why genealogy is very important. It's hard to really find certain things because a lot of things wasn't written on records. So all we have is these, DNA companies to tell us the idea, give us a hint of what's what. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely include the African Caribbeans and I definitely include the Africans because we are Africans. Now, is a Afro-Caribbean that recently come here, is he a foundational African American? No, he wouldn't be, because he's not part of the deeper standard history. Now, if you're an African Caribbean that came in the 1800s during the time of the inception of what we know as North America, which is 247 years old, that's an African American. If you are a African that came even after the underground slave trade, when slavery was abolished in 1865, that's an African American. Now, if you just came here in 1945, 1920, 1960, no, you're not a foundational African American, but we are both Africans, and I don't look down at you. And you're also part of the West. Just like me coming to your island saying that because me and you are both West Africans, which we are, I'm a foundational, the island that you come from. I wouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? But we're both Africans.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Breakdown. Let's get Assad Car in the building. All this week, last weekend, Gozi, we've been dealing with evolution. Assad Car and
Grammarly helps me get the best grades possible while depleting the least amount of hours of my week.
And Unc been going ham. Pasu, and there's been a few going back and forth on evolution.
Yeah.
So let's bring in Assad and Ka. Let's see if we got any questions for you pertaining to that.
What's up, brother Assad? Go ahead. It's hard to talk to you sometimes. We just been talking the other day. What's up, my good brother?
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, alaikum salam. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. What's up?
my taller younger brother in Gozi.
Big. Hey, don't forget, big up to my nana, my Pulani, 100 Jam.
That's right.
Go ahead.
He can dictate the world movement, and we don't have that in us, because when China became a world power in the 1960s, 1970s, nobody is fucking with Chinese no more, because they know there's somebody behind them who's going to come there and be like, no, we're not doing this stuff.
I agree with you as far as like Black people, we need like a home backing. Like, you know how like if Chinese people are being discriminated against, Chinese
don't play that.
Like a lot Black people here in America, like what country is gonna have?
And I went on a tirade.
Like, Africa doesn't even have themselves together.
Mm-hmm.
But I do also think that, like, I know you said that like FBA, like the foundational Black Americans, or Tethers.
No, it's Foundational Black Americans.
We're the Tethers.
See, this is what I was trying to get back to you.
My bad. But like FBA or ADOS, they also call themselves
FBA
ADOS.
versus the But
Yes.
I think it's a lot of it is just loud minorities.
Well, I think that like I know you said that, like they're a minority,
Yeah.
they're a minority like voice, but I do think what I've learned from like having these discussions is that like we do have to speak in nuances as Africans, because our experience is slightly different, and you don't want to create parallels where there is none. Like I think that like we can agree with each other, like Africans and Black Americans, we can share experiences, but there's also nuances to our experience, and I think that we should respect those nuances. Like, for example, like you said in the episode, one of the episodes too, we come to America, how white people view Africans is slightly different than how they view like the Black Americans here, because Africans, they kind of have like a sympathetic view of us. It's like, oh my goodness, feed the children, like we have to help them, like the church organizations help. A lot of Black Americans don't have that same like sympathetic lens put on them, so we also have to like understand the difference of experiences. I do agree that like sometimes we've like Africans, there's a lot of pressure put on Africans. They're like, oh, you guys are not us, when we share experiences the same as you. Like we've been through the same thing.
I think was it Chris that was here last time?
Yeah.
When we were having the African Americans panel, he was on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he kept saying like we're all going through the same battle, but we don't see it.
Yeah.
We don't realize that we're going through the same battle, going through the same fight against what's going on.
Yeah.
We
the
have
same fight in different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's like important to realize like the different ways that you're
so many African countries going through different battles. The Nigerians are not feeling the same way we feel as South Sudanese. We don't feel the same way Ethiopians feel, because we're so fractured. There's no one voice.
Those people could come after me. I don't know. Maybe I should have waited for them. What's his name to come defend them? But like
Twitter is
but like the fact that they say that they're Native Americans, like. Yeah, there's no scientific basis to what they're saying. It's like they're trying to separate themselves from Africanism because they view Africanism as like something bad, or wrong, or like look down on us.
Africans also separate themselves from Black Americans.
Yeah,
so we create separations and say like, oh, we don't do that, we don't do that like this. Like so we both do it to each other.
Yeah.
So
but that's a different type of separation though. That's a cultural separation.
Oh.
You can be separated culturally, but not genetically, like you say, the DNA.
But do you not see how that's kind of like
go to a soul go to
humanizing, like, oh, we're not like you.
No, if you go to a soul food restaurant and you eat some greens, is that not the same food that you eat at home?
That's not
like y'all talking about you're talking about kuminimia, whatever that I'm messing up the words. Chitlins is the same thing. It's intestines. It's the same thing we eat. Because there's a cultural tether there. I don't want to say the word tether, but in a way, like the FBA is like they want to separate that from there. But if you go to like Brazilians, they are in tune with their African culturalism. But if you go to Africa right now and you ask somebody,
I don't feel like that.
If you go to Africa right now and you say, do you know any Brazilians? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna tell you, they're gonna name you a soccer player.
West Africa is actually pretty close to Brazil.
Basically, I think no, it's I think we have a lot more common today as like African Americans and Africans, and foundational blacks than they did in the past. I think that just changes it.
Yeah,
it just changes it. Especially, I'll say even like the just the little I'll say like me growing up in America, you know, it's like I have more in common with the Black Americans here than I do with even Sudanese. So it's like even when I do hear this stuff, it's like I think it does take those people that are not necessarily full South Sudanese or you know, I'm a foundational Black American. It's like, I think we're more divided than unified. In reality, there's a billion like things that divide us, but you know, it's crazy.
No, can we stick on that though? What he just said in the end, when he said that as Africans in America, we're technically closer to the African Americans than we are the Africans. Because let me tell you something.
But that's already been known.
Nah, because a lot of Africans here, a lot of Sudanese people here, they act like they're not African American. It's like
crazy.
Have you been home?
Nope.
Because a couple of episodes ago, when I said about a shower, people looked at me like I'm crazy.
How much do you feel like connected to like you know, connected to South Sudan or connected to like America, which is Black America because we're Black. So how do you how connected?
What's the percentage?
Like I went to school with Black people my whole life, African American. So
so what's the percentage? What do you say the percentage?
No, I'm definitely South Sudanese American, just because I have that other side to me of like my culture at home. But I do feel just super connected to African American people because I feel like we are the same people. We just have different cultural background. But I grew up with them. I went to their house. They slept over at my house. Like it's normal, like the culture, the way we talk, the music we listen to. I feel like it's all interconnected, but when you get down to the root of it, sometimes it's like, okay, you're different than me in this aspect, and I'm different than you in this aspect, and we let it be so big. But at the end of the day, we all grew up together. Well, I don't know,
she gave you an out.
So you believe African Americans have a culture,
right? She said South Sudanese American. How do you
have a culture?
No, nobody said they did. No, hold on.
I hear no. We got say that all the time, but
no, we got to get to the question.
She said it.
The question is,
how do you feel?
Are you South Sudanese and American? What is the percentage?
Honestly, like
I feel like I'm 70%
Black
American. And 30% South Sudanese.
So I've always thought that I was like I'm more South Sudanese than anything. But then like outwardly, like how do people view you?
Went to South Sudan,
because a lot of people like obviously I grew up here in America. And if like I take an Uber or I go anywhere, everyone's like, oh, I could tell you're like I could see that you're African or I can tell I can see that. But like you speak like English, like you speak perfect English, like your culture is kind of relates to me, even though like we have our own South Sudanese culture, but it's like, oh, how much American am I versus
so what's the
South
percentage?
Sudanese? And then like even with like Ladies of Sosa, like a lot of people from South Sudan are like, oh, y'all are so Americanized, you know, so they kind of like in a way they kind of like other you a little bit, but they kind of show you, they kind of put a mirror on you to show you like you're Sudanese, but y'all are not like fully South Sudanese. So
we need the numbers though.
I'll say
the number. What's the number?
Even
my number?
Yeah, what's the number?
I'm gonna say 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Let's say the number.
Okay, yeah. No.
She can't be no that help.
She said 50-50, but no.
Okay.
Realistically,
you said 80-20.
No.
70-30, I think.
The problem is like, you know, even so I haven't been back to South Sudan. I haven't been back nowhere. And I grew up in a small city. So growing up, it's like they grouped us as Black people. And then on top of grouping us as Black people, I'm like, all right, I'm Black. But then the Blacks are like, no, you're not like us. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So it's like I'm on this side. So it's like I was in the Black community, but I still had areas where it's like, you're not allowed. No, you're not. These are our neighborhoods. These are our neighborhoods. You come over here, you still an outcast. So it's like I'll say I have certain things about me that are Black. And then being separate from South Sudan, it's like I don't got the full experience of being South Sudan. It's like, what is South Sudan? No.
How was that at the Olympics though? Because you were around so many South Sudanese people.
I'll say even I didn't know people lived over there. I didn't know South Sudanese lived over there. It's weird to say, but it's like some people were telling me they speak Finnish and stuff like that, and I'm like,
oh yeah, they bad as hell though.
Yeah,
you
say
Finnish or Finnish.
It was actually a South Sudanese Swedish wrestler.
There's South Sudanese all over Europe.
And
people don't even realize.
I know that.
Bro, she should have won. But
we're doing too much.
It feels like South Sudan exploded.
Like in Finland?
Yeah.
No, let's keep going. We got to get to this video.
No, but when I was over there, it's like there are so many Sudanese, and we're all from different places, you know, because we all came for the Olympics. And what was crazy is that I don't know, it made me smile for real, because it's like no matter what you come from or whatever, there's like this draw between Sudanese.
Yeah,
it's
we're
like,
still South Sudanese.
It's like right when I see you,
I feel like the older that I get, I become more and more South Sudanese. Like I feel like I'm becoming an auntie in a sense. Like you, like I feel like you get back to your roots. Like I grew up in the church. I grew up, and I feel like a lot of my culture came from being in Kanisa, just singing songs. It feels good to sing, like, you know, out of Ijuba. Like when I came to Dallas, like I didn't know a lot of like Sudanese people, and you just have this, like, you miss it, like you take it for granted whenever you have access to it. Yeah. But then when you don't have it, it's like I don't feel like I'm complete.
So
I don't
you
feel like
feel
I'm
more
full.
South Sudanese.
Well, I don't know if I could ever like cut myself in half. So I feel like I'm not going to put a number to it.
What's the percentage?
Because I feel like socially I can be South Sudanese. Socially I could be, you know, American. But at the end of the day, like ancestrally, like I'm South Sudanese. Yeah. And that's something that I feel like the older I get, I'm always going to go back to that.
So do you feel like the older you got, you become more South Sudanese?
I feel like I become more South Sudanese.
So back when you was younger, you was turned up.
All right, I want Emmanuel and Willie. How do y'all feel?
I'm starting to realize all of y'all are like Childish Gambino when it comes to the I'm too Sudanese for the.
Nobody know who Childish Gambino is.
But I'm not Sudanese enough for the people back home. I'm sorry. I'm being a dick.
But that's true.
Who's Childish Gambino?
Where's the lie? That sounded like that. I'm too black for the white kids, but I'm too, you know.
No, it's just introspective.
But like, if we're being honest with ourselves, like for me, my Denka's Garbazio so bad that like even people. On the podcast and videos have gone viral of just how bad my Arabi Juba, horrible, and everything is just bad. But at the end of the day,
what did he say?
Y'all will not escape me.
Y'all will not escape.
I will keep speaking my language, and I will keep.
Because technically speaking, Emmanuel, there's not really a lot of big Dinka people.
That's like a white person.
They're just tall. There's not really a lot
out of his pocket.
I just had a conversation with my uncle about this, and I was like, yeah. At the end of the day, I'm both. I'm 50, I'm really 80, 20.
80,
80,
Which one is the 80?
Wait, no, 80, 20, 80, 20. My bad.
Black American.
110%?
What?
Yeah.
You have to
I'm
guess.
80% Sudanese American. And 20%.
There's no Sudanese American. It's African American and Sudanese.
No, there's no Sudanese American. Sudanese African
American got its own
separate the Sudanese.
Sudanese American is his own culture because we built our own culture in the United States, and we cannot deny that. That is our own culture.
So what's Sudanese American culture?
It's real.
Thank you. That's a cop out. He's copping out.
But how do we build our own culture?
It's a cop out. No, he's copping out. No.
We have our own models. We have our own people that we view as celebrity. We even have our own gossip.
So okay, how
I think who we are is
we can't. There's less than 100,000 South Sudanese.
There's no like I'm 20% African American. I'm 80%.
No.
You're South Sudanese. The American in you is what makes you like that. That's why when you go to be around other South Sudanese from other places, it's because you're American. That's why you're different.
Yeah, you're still different.
I just made this conversation for the sake of like trying to be.
That's how we all get along. Is because we are all, we all have similar.
To me, it depends on the day.
It's our culture.
Exactly what I'm saying. We're South Sudanese Americans. Exactly.
Sometimes I'm in situations where I'm like, I'm Sudanese. I'm very South Sudanese.
Yeah.
And then there's situations where I know like I'm black. Like, you know, at the end of the day I'm black. Like whatever, like whatever you see something goes on news or something, or like the Trayvon Martin or something, like, you know, the blackness in me is so outraged, like, you know, I'm in pain as a black person, you know, and I'm out protesting and everything, you know. I don't, it's hard to separate and be like, you know, like when Kendrick Lamar is talking about they're not like us, I feel like I'm like us. You know?
You're not wrong.
You know, what? No, but like I do feel like I am. You know what I mean? Right. I'm like, fuck yeah. You know, like yeah. Drake, you're not like us. You know, like I feel like, you know.
Drake is more like he's an immigrant. Drake is an immigrant.
That's facts.
Drake is an immigrant.
No, he's not like us.
Well, he's Canadian, so like to hip hop culture,
he's not with the struggle.
He didn't grow up in hip hop culture.
Yeah, he's not with the struggle. That's what I'm saying. You know.
Yeah.
Like
and we grew up in a struggle, even in Utah, Salt Lake City.
Exactly.
I 100% agree with you as far as like police brutality and Trayvon Martin, like the Trayvon Martin situation. That like I remember that just like triggering me so much. I still remember that day and like how like I don't know, it just like impacted me. And I think for me, I felt connected to whatever him and like being black. Like blackness was not like African or like or black
you saw your own brother like getting like murdered, you know.
He was my age, bro. Like I watched that shit, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it reminded me of like a friend or somebody that I knew or like a cousin or somebody that like just was killed and then the person got away with it. So
did you lose some white friends real quick?
Oh well, I remember posting because this was like when I was a little younger. I remember like commenting on a whole bunch of stuff, like going off on people because I was going crazy. I was like, nah, like this is bullshit. Justice for Trayvon Martin. I was on every news site.
You've won in the comments when somebody is sending you a personal message.
That was the first time that I like really like internalized something like that. Now like police brutality like now is like it's unfortunately common for me, and I know it's happened before with like Rodney King, but like for me that was like the first time it hit home.
Yeah.
Can I put a
that bothered me.
Reply to that? Like as a person who grew up in a neighborhood where it's like a little bit more, you know, rougher.
Yeah.
And with people that I've had around me that had to deal with like more officers and stuff. Like a lot of the times when I first saw the Trayvon Martin thing, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that happened. And then I saw everybody else's reaction to it, and I was like, oh, this isn't normal. This is their first time seeing something like this.
Yeah.
And like I was like, oh fuck, this isn't like what is supposed to happen. And that's what I was like, oh damn, okay. Shout out to everybody finally realizing that being black is being black.
Yeah, that's fair. Trayvon Martin was like when we were younger. I was like maybe a teenager, like maybe like I don't remember. When did the Trayvon Martin?
2014?
No,
2012. It's like it was earlier before that.
Somebody
2000.
Mike Brown was
2012.
Yeah.
Mike Brown was
2012. Yeah, so
somebody
it was like maybe 10 years ago. So we were really young at that time. So that was my first time with like the police like, and he wasn't even a police officer, but just like the racial, like the injustice, because it wasn't even just like
family. I have no idea what these tethers talking about. All right, let's keep it moving. As you come
Today's
in.
episode is a direct response to an email
Okay, now
I received.
this is where I'm trying to go right here. Now the disrespect this tether gives is ridiculous. Moon Eyes, peace. She said the dude with the locks is shockingly weird. I don't know about three worlders. Johnny says, why are Africans so fearful of FBA delineation? We FBAs are not saying we are right. We are better, just different. Our people, right? I mean, but it's clear and obvious for different. That's just like the obvious, fact in the room. Like we're all different. That's why they got different flags. Their flags are different to show we're different. You know what I mean? That's why would the Eritreans have their own flag and the Ethiopians have a different flag if they're not different? And they're literally the same. Like they were just Ethiopians not too long ago. Now they're Eritreans, but they're different. It's like, yo, what are we really doing here? So real talk, Podbox, peace, DD, peace, Mike Freeman, peace. So we got the new folks in the building. Let me throw the wrenches at them. Mike Freeman and Johnny. Let me throw a wrench at them. Mike Freeman and Johnny. All I ask that you just like the video. Everybody just like the video. That's all. So let me get back to it. So now I got Johnny with a wrench. Now listen to this tether right here. You talk about gaslighting. Like all she gonna do is exactly tether battle. That's all he was doing. Listen what she's gonna do. Talk about gaslighting. Watch this right here. Watch this.
after my last video about Black identity and why some Africans don't want to identify as Black. This email came from someone who identifies as a foundational Black American and who explained to me why they feel abandoned by other Black and immigrant communities.
Yeah, all of their views come from talking about us, man. And then some of them get a light bulb, like, you know what? Well, let me keep talking about them because I keep getting paid. It's like the Candace Owen effect, the Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell effect. You know what? If I keep talking about FBAs in a disparaging way, I will get more views. And it's true. They get more views, they get more money, and they just keep going and they can't stop. Just look at I'm gonna say their names, look at the channels out there. Damn near every live is about FBAs or Tariq Nasheed. Almost every video. So I'm like, you know what? Since we popping, our name is valuable. I'm FBA. Why I can't talk about FBA all the time? You dig? But in the right narrative way.
And why they believe that FBA's divisiveness is justified. So today I want to break it down piece by piece, why the victim mentality in FBA's rhetoric is dangerous and self-defeating, how FBA exceptionalism ignores the contribution by Africans to the Black liberation struggle, how US imperialism...
So now you see how you see how she talks, like they talk down on us, like we're so dumb, and we're just one monolithic people. We all think the same. We're just dumb. And a tether like her got to come and straighten us out, right? We're just dumb people living in America under the white man's thumb, and we're playing victim. Systemic racism does not exist. All the things we face, the discrimination, the segregation, all this stuff never happened. You dig? We're just making up excuses and reasons why we fail. And in our quote unquote failures, we're still more successful than all of those Black people that's not in this country. All of their homelands, the diaspora and the African continent, GDP, just name it. We inventions, innovations, we created this, we still are more valuable, we were worth more money, our intellect, we created more things than all of those people. So they're saying we're playing the victim. It's like, yo, but ma'am, have you checked your homeland? Like you guys got literally flies. You don't even have a fly swatter. Like that's the most craziest thing. You would think in those countries, fly swatters would be everywhere being sold, right? You would think they got flags. You know, you don't need a flag. You need a fly swatter. You need a fly swatter. Yeah, you know it'd be dope if they put their flag on a fly swatter. Yeah, I might do that. I might do that. I might have the images of like different tethered flags but the flags are fly swatters with the flag on them. Because like I said, you would think that in their countries, like the person who sells fly swatters should be rich. Rich. They could really use those fly swatters.
Destroyed African nations, setting back the entire Black world, and last but not least, the ridiculous claim that foundational Black Americans are indigenous to America and have no ties to Africa. I want to approach this topic with honesty, clarity, and facts, because conversations like these are so important. But we also...
She started off gaslighting, now she's going to give clarification and facts.
So need to unpack the problems with this mindset and how it contradicts historical and modern realities.
There's someone behind you! Oh my god, he's getting closer! What do I do? Should I run?
Welcome to Plan B, Back to Africa. My name is Wayne. If you're new to...
We don't care.
Learned along the journey...
Look. Yeah, what the... Hey, yo, family, what the hell are we looking at? We're looking at a place that has no civilization. This place is not civilized at all. How is this beautiful? Now, some of you guys might like to sightsee and climb mountains and shit like that. Not me. Not me. I like civilization too much to be somewhere like this. Now, she just so in one with nature. Look at this. Look at this.
I have studied cultural anthropology and African studies with a focus on the construction of identities, and I always love to share my knowledge with my audience about the socio-political realities on the ground.
Accolades.
Now, before I break down this email point by point, I want to read it for you. Wayne Tesfaye, much of your perspective is correct. However, what you are missing is what exists at ground level. The divisiveness of the FBA labeling and description came about out of necessity in order to survive, exist. Black Americans for several decades strained, actually begging many times for unity with all ethnic groups of color, especially Africans from the motherland, because we have been on our own for hundreds of years, and because we know the value and the need for unity for our survival. That was the reason that FBAs fought, died in the struggle to change laws so other people of color could come, unite, and help. But all they, FBAs, faced from those who have come were constant and forever belittling insults, labels, and facial looks of disgust. Treating, speaking, looking down upon them, us, as though Black Americans are inferior. FBAs experienced this from all groups that have fled to America. All of these fleeing groups have said, let the Negro fight his own battles. We do not want to align with them. These groups that flee from their lands come and say to the FBA, we do not care about your fight or your history. We have not come to fight. We have only come to make money and take care of our own. In essence, we do not care about this country or anything in it except for what we can drain and take from it for our own purposes. The displaying of their various country flags show this. I have personally been told this to my face, even recently before President Donald Trump's mass deportations. This causes and has caused great immense pain and humiliation within our community. We have given so much that they may come, and they turn their noses up at us.
All right, so let me get your
thoughts. As Black Americans,
let me get your thoughts.
We prefer that undeniable fact.
Because she studies all this stuff. Remember, she's an expert. So let's hear the tether expertise.
The divisiveness of FBA labeling came out of necessity for survival. First, let's acknowledge an undeniable fact. Black Americans have been fighting for the...
we don't hear that. We don't hear that. Hey,
it's not
family. Yes, I already asked her to come on my podcast. I come on her podcast. And let's talk about everything she's talking about. And most of these tethers, especially the tetherists, the women, they really never have a dialogue with you. Like, I spoke to a couple men tethers, obviously, on my channel. You heard the debates. But I don't think I ever talked to a tetherist. Like, they really throw rocks and hide their hand. They make up all of the excuses. Her right here. Y'all can see my dialogue. Y'all watch this video. Like, they make up all the excuses why they won't have this dialogue. It's like, so you have this crazy strong opinion about us, but you don't want to hear our response and maybe the way we can justify or bring it in proper context. Like, they just dismissive as hell. Again, they're entitled to their opinions. Only their opinions matter about us. How we feel about ourselves and why we do things, they don't care, because they truly believe that they're the smartest blacks, like especially over us. So everybody who's like pointing their finger at us, waving their finger, they really believe they're above us, but they act like that's how we feel about them. We're not wagging our finger about your floating slum in Nigeria and telling you what you guys should do. We're not wagging our fingers in the deserts in Sudan and how to get fresh water. You dig? We're not wagging. No, we let y'all handle your own business, and that's it. But they come over here, they wag their finger, know nothing about us, know nothing about white supremacy, systemic racism, nothing about nothing. And they wag their finger and they try to give us advice and instructions. These are entitled tethers. And that's why we must delineate.
Strategy for long-term power. If unity didn't work before, it's not because Black people across the diaspora weren't trying. It's because white supremacy has always deliberate.
Oh my God. She blanked. Yeah. Hey, chat. If y'all was not around yesterday, listen, don't ever separate tethers from white supremacy. Tethers are informants of white supremacy. they're the mercenaries of white supremacy. Okay, so when you think of white supremacy, you think of informants that comes in the form of tethers, and think of mercenaries that come in the form of tethers. Think of missionaries that come in the form of tethers. All right, they are an extension of white supremacy. They are contracted by white supremacists to undermine FBA's ADOS. That's their job. But they always try to tell this lie how white supremacy is separate from them. No, y'all all one and the same. Y'all share the same talking points.
If unity didn't work before, it's not because black people across the diaspora weren't trying. It's because white supremacy has always deliberately kept us apart.
No,
the FBA response, instead of healing
white supremacy ain't deliberately kept. What are you talking about?
That division is deepening kept us apart. The FBA response, instead of healing that division, is deepening it by turning on the very people who should be allies. So,
and don't forget, turning on them means that we are calling ourselves something that's more fitting to us and nobody else. They call that turning on them. They call that being divisive. They call that starting diaspora wars. Like that's just unbelievable. When you get them over here, you ask that question, they get confused. When you see Jason Black and Tarina, she asked that same very question. Like, why when we call ourselves Foundation Black Americans, what that got to do with us hating you or separating from you or don't want to do business with you or, don't want to build an alliance? That has nothing to do with that. We're saying, we're this type of Black American, and we're different from other Black Americans that come from different homelands. Don't mix us up. Just like y'all don't get mixed up. When you got Black Americans from Jamaica, you get Black Americans from Nigeria. They're not mixed up. They're Nigerians. They are Jamaican. They even bring their flags. So they won't be mixed up. They bring their culture. They bring their dishes. So they bring their language and accents. So they won't be mixed up with other Blacks. Well, we don't want to be mixed up with other Blacks. We don't want to be the generic Black man, the generic Black woman, the generic African man and woman. We don't want to be that. That's out. We're Foundation Black American, and there's nothing you guys can do to tie to that. And guess what? They gave up. So now they're calling themselves Foundational Black British, Foundational Black Jamaicans, all type of crazy shit. They're Foundation Black Nigerians. They gave up trying to tether on to our nationality because there's no way they could be linked to it, because we're going to ask them where your family from, and they can't go past New York. So they're stuck. Like, all right, well, the hell with it. You're right. We're not FBAs. Well, we're just FBBs and FBJs and FBTs, which is Foundation Black Tethers. That's what we're going to be. Screw y'all. We're all out. War against you.
So I challenge you. Instead of saying we had to be divisive for survival, ask yourself, who benefits from that division? Because it should.
Who benefits from the division? Why does it got to be a benefactor? Why they got to be a beneficiary? It's just it's just a factual reality. You're not us. You're not like us. We're not like you. It goes both ways. We're not making it one way. We're saying both ways. We're not you. You're not us. We're making that distinction clear because that line was blurred for so many years. Some of them think they're y'all watch the videos. Some of them actually think they're foundational Black Americans. They get confused. That, goddamn, isn't that enough reason to draw that line clearly in white chalk?
Surely isn't Black people. Let's get to the next point, number 2. FBAs fought and died so other people of color could come, unite, and help.
Now, I don't believe that, but I do believe, well, some of us did, but first and foremost, I would say more accurately, we fought and died, and you guys benefited from our fighting and marching and dying. You guys benefited once you stepped foot in this great country. But let's get her thoughts.
Historically false. Caribbean to the Black struggle in America. That Black immigrants have contributed nothing to the Black struggle in America.
Hey, nobody ever said that. We said that the little contributions y'all did was little to nothing, and you all had to live here to contribute. You guys took on our customs, our ways, our actions, and you guys adapted. And some of you guys were thorough. Some of the women were thorough, and you guys helped out. But it was a tiny, 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 tiny number. We're not going to cap like your whole country was behind you. It was a tiny, 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 tiny bunch of thorough individuals from the islands, from maybe even the continent, that stood on business for our defense. Fine. But we're not going to lie and act like it was a bunch of you.
Which is historically false. Caribbean immigrants, for instance, played a very important role in the civil rights movement. Take Kwame Ture, for instance.
Okay, that's one. Okay, so okay, cool. That's a cool brother. And we thank him for his time and efforts, his sweat and blood. We thank him. All right. But I don't think anybody said nobody. I mean, like I don't think, I don't know people who says that you guys never did something. We're just saying it didn't come in like massive numbers. That's all.
From Trinidad, and who has played an important role in the civil rights movement and the global Pan-African movement. Or Marcus Garvey, one of the most...
Okay, that's what she messed up at. We know that. Okay, she was right with the other brother. Okay, what was they? Stokely Carmichael? She was right about him. But this guy right here was a complete tether. He was an agent for white supremacy. He tried to link us up with the Klan to go to Liberia and flee from America. So I'm guessing other tethers can replace us. You dig? They were trying to create a replacement for us, dupe us out of our homeland, get us in Liberia, and replace us with a bunch of tethers. And say, nah, you can't come back. You move your seat, you lose your seat. No, you move your feet, you lose your seat. Type trick bag. This dude was a tether. He was a scammer. And we did not rock with him. He bamboozled a bunch of desperate FBAs, but our intellectuals and people with common sense did not rock with Marcus Garvey at all. Okay? This guy came with a whole new message, and it was not welcomed.
Influential black leaders, and who happened to come from Jamaica. Or let's take Malcolm X, whose mother was from the Caribbean island Grenada. Let's not...
Okay. So she said, take Malcolm X, where his mother was from Grenada, but he's black. He's FBA black. Okay, he's FBA black. All right.
Forget to talk about the powerful and important role of African leaders, like...
We need your help to save the masjid where over 100 Americans have accepted Islam. This is your brother Yusha Evans with an urgent appeal. Masjid Isa ibn Maryam in New York City is an amazing masjid, but the masjid building is currently in crisis. The windows are broken, the prayer carpets are ripped, and they have leaks and damages to the facility. We desperately need your support to save this house of Allah. Your donation will help install new prayer carpets, new wudu areas, a new roof, and help many reverts in need. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever relieves the believer of a hardship in this world, Allah will relieve their hardship on the Day of Judgment. If this is the case for helping just one person, then imagine the rewards of saving the house of Allah that serves 2,000 people every single week. Click and donate now, whatever you can, and may Allah reward you. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of independent Ghana, who was one of the most vocal African leaders in supporting the civil rights movement and black liberation in the United States. Kwame Nkrumah personally invited Martin Luther King to Ghana's independence celebrations in 1957. This visit profoundly impacted Martin Luther King, reinforcing his belief that black people worldwide were part of a common struggle for freedom. Malcolm X was also welcomed in Ghana and met with Nkrumah, strengthening his Pan-African vision. Ghana was and continues to be a safe haven for African Americans. W.E.B. Du Bois moved to Ghana and was given Ghanaian citizenship, where he worked on the Encyclopedia Africana until his death in 1963. And then let's not forget to talk about the support by Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie I. He was deeply respected by African American leaders, including Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and members of the Nation of Islam. Ethiopia used its position in the United Nations to push against apartheid in South Africa and racial discrimination in the US. He was a key force in the formation of the Organization of African Unity, which worked to connect African struggles with Black liberation struggles worldwide. Historically, African Americans and Africans on the continent have always supported each other in their liberation struggle. When Italy invaded Ethiopia during the Second World War, so many African Americans signed up to volunteer to fight on the side of the Ethiopians against the invading colonial Italian army. However, eventually they were blocked from the US government. They were ready to die and fight for Ethiopia. Imagine that. However, one brother made it, Colonel John Robinson, the Brown Condor of Harlem. You should definitely research his mind-blowing, inspiring history. He was one of the very few African American Black aviators of his time, and he showed solidarity with Ethiopia by volunteering as a fighter pilot and military advisor during Italy's invasion of Ethiopia in 1935, defying racial barriers and US neutrality policies. He helped train Ethiopian pilots, fought against Mussolini's forces, and symbolized African American support for anti-colonial struggles in Africa. Not just historically, African people continue to support the Black liberation struggle in the USA and are actively involved in racial justice movements. Many activists that fight against racism and oppression in America are of Caribbean and African descent. In cities like Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered, Ethiopian and Somali communities were on the front lines of the protests. And even in
I'm just trying to see where she's going.
Ethiopia, I was in Addis Ababa at that time. Ethiopians came together to mourn the murder and the death of George Floyd and came together.
Are you serious? Okay, we got to stop. Okay, we got to stop. See, because this is what the Hispanic community is doing as well. Oh, we marched with BLM. Okay, stop it. Like she's acting like she's acting like the bulk of Ethiopians were mourning. Like, stop it. Stop it. And which Ethiopians are these? Are these the one in America or are these the one abroad in Ethiopia? You did stop. Of course, if you're here, you could kind of relate a little bit. But we want to see this empathy extended to your homeland. I asked Sister that the other day, DJ Genesis. I said, when do these African leaders, including Ibrahim Traoré, ever say, those FBAs, they deserve reparations. They deserve justice. America is doing them wrong. When do these leaders of these African and these Caribbean islands ever speak like that on our behalf? Never. So if a few of y'all in America mourning for George Floyd, great. A few tiny percentage of you guys marching around screaming BLM, great. But the large, you got white folks to do it too. Okay, but that does, okay, so how are you different than white people? White people do the same thing. They come in small numbers and they support us. Okay, great. And we ask the same thing from them as we do to y'all. Like, no, we want to see a large demonstration. Okay, you see how these Latinos out here fighting against ICE for other Latinos who are illegal. That's the type of support we want. We want that same energy for us. Now, there's a report that there's a growing surge of Latinos that are for Trump and deportation. So now the liberal media ain't gonna show that. There's a large growing support of Latinos who are here legally that are supporting Trump's deportation via ICE. So, but we ain't gonna talk about that, right?
Together in solidarity with their Black brothers and sisters in America. The idea that FBAs were left to fight alone ignores centuries of
Okay, I see this is all cap. Yo, listen, 2, 3, 4, 5 of y'all, we're left by ourselves, basically. Like, let's stop capping. Like, let's stop acting you met us halfway. I mean, come on.
African and Caribbean solidarity.
Yeah, the fact that she could sit there and name them, like we know that trick. Oh no, I got black friends. Tyrone, Bonquisha, what's that? Quoconisha, Quoconisha, you dig? Or oh no, I'm not racist. My husband, my wife. You know, when you can name 1, 2, 3 people to prove you helped out, or you're not racist, we know it's a lie. Okay. She's naming them. That lets you know, like she's not gonna name 100 names. You start naming, you're gonna name 2, 3.
In Black liberation movements, and is simply not supported by history. African nations provided sanctuary, funding, and diplomatic pressure to assist Black struggles in the US. Pan-African leaders recognized the shared fight for Black liberation.
I know you ain't showing a picture of Mandela and Muhammad Ali. Now, this is Muhammad Ali, like 90 years old. Yeah, oh my. I mean, Lex brought it up. This is gaslighting. She's acting like she's showing Elijah, she's acting like she's showing Muhammad Ali when he was in his prime. You dig? Fighting Joe Frazier somebody. He was a little out of his prime, but you get what I'm saying. Ken Norton somebody. Yeah, she is showing Muhammad Ali when he's battling Parkinson's disease. So this was clearly a photo op. This was like, so what did they end up doing? Can she explain why they were he was only there for a photo op? That was it. So a tether 20, 30 years down the road, like her, can come and spin the narrative like there's a kumbaya moment with Mandela and the Black struggle in America. Stop it.
Understanding that oppression in the US was linked to colonialism and apartheid in Africa. Without Africa's contributions, the civil rights movement and Black power movements would have been much weaker. Could there
Okay, all right. Now that is the most disrespectful thing a tether can say. She said without there, so now listen, there's millions of us out there marching and parading and demonstrating. There's millions of out. Listen to disrespect. There are like that's like us. Like you see the ICE raids, you see the Latinos retaliating. That's like a handful of us going out there with the Latinos fighting against ICE. It's a handful of us. And then let's say if ICE backs down and they suspend the ICE movement, then we say, hey man, you guys couldn't have got none of this done without us. 3, 4, are you serious? This woman sat there with a straight face and said 3, 4, 5 non-FBA blacks were basically the reason why the civil rights march got pushed through. This is the disrespect. This is why we saying, yo, no, actually, now we're saying don't even help us. Like go. Like they did the same thing with hip hop. 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, 2, 3, 4 Puerto Ricans join hip hop, and all of a sudden they are the co-creators. So 4 or 5 Black immigrants joined the civil rights movement, and you're saying we couldn't have got it done without those folks. They made it easier for us. Wow. So forget about Dr. King, A. Philip Randolph, and all that whole committee, all those Black think tank people. Forget about even white people role, even like the Jewish role. Forget about all that shit. 4 or 5 Black immigrants are the reason why the civil rights movement was successful. Like this is utterly disrespectful.
There be more unity? Of course. But erasing contributions because of a few bad experiences, that's not historical accuracy.
Right. The raw truth about everything. Hey, yo, this is the delusion that they're teaching themselves in their personal spaces, man. This is like I heard some tether disrespect, but it's at this point it's getting out of control. God damn, so y'all want credit for the civil rights march. Now, don't make me get on that tether she showed that ran to Ghana and became the dictator of Ghana, because I believe he was a freedom fighter. See, I can minimize their effort in the civil rights movement. I'd rather not do that. But when they start embellishing like that, then you make me want to pull their card and show what they really were doing in the civil rights movement, to show their impact for real, how it wasn't really that impactful. They could have been left, they could have left and nothing would have changed. Okay, do you guys know what a freedom rider is? Because the dude she showed earlier, the first guy, he was a freedom rider from what I read. Yeah, y'all Google what a freedom rider does. All right. So yeah, they got to stop the madness. Kevin O'Leary be like, stop the madness. All right, so I see a couple. They smoking bushmeat for, yeah, exactly. Hey, Napalm Spirits, a link for what? I kind of missed our conversation. So you're asking for a link for what? Maybe I can get it for y'all. Hold on, let me just get, okay. So yeah, so if y'all come in, I just ask that you just like the video. Yeah. See, I did it before. I felt kind of bad because I felt like these guys made an effort to, like, to join the march. So I kind of like don't be petty like that too much anymore. But at one point, I wasn't giving nobody any no leeway. I was showing all of their involvement, how minuscule it was, and I was like really going in. A couple months ago, I kind of toned down because that's what they want. Tethers love division. Like, they are the real divisive people. So they want us to divide. They want us to divide with ourselves. Never fall for when they try to get ADOS and FBA. Don't fall for that. Freedmen, don't fall for that. Then if that doesn't work, they try to get you to go against another FBA person, like a Pan-Africanist, like Baba Smalls. They'll use him as a battle axe. Go after him. Don't fall for that. Okay, stick to going after that tether. And then they'll bring up Malcolm X or Dr. King. They'll try to make you go after another FBA person. And if that don't work, they'll try to get you to go after a Black immigrant writer who was thorough in helping us in our efforts to fight against systemic racism. They'll try that. But what I'm saying is, nah, I ain't falling for that. Let's go after the person talking, which is her. All right, so I seen another name in the chat that was new. Let me just track them down real quick. Okay. Yeah, so Forever Evolving Beauty, I owe you a wrench. Okay, so I think everybody's wrenched up. So now, if you come into this chat, right, you come to here for the first time, everybody got wrenches because it signifies that we either have the same lineage or you're a supporter. You're not from our lineage, but you support what we got going on. Those are the two reasons why you got a wrench. You're either from the same lineage as us, right? That goes back to slavery, or you're a supporter. You're an ally. Like, you rock with what FBAs stand for and everything we're fighting for. You dig? And you support 10 toes down. I give supporter wrenches too. That's why you see all the wrenches if you're new. All right, so let's get back to this babbling, lying tether.
Accuracy. That's emotional reasoning. So the question to those who push the FBA ideology is this: if African people and African leaders have fought for and supported Black liberation movements in the US, why continue pushing division instead of solidarity? Let's get to the next point. Point number 3.
Okay, so now we got to ask. See, here's the question they can't answer. How are we pushing division? This is a question everybody asks. Jason Black, Tariq Nasheed, Yvette, Tone Talk. Just name somebody who's who's a urban politician TV, Phil Scott, Dr. Rashad Ritchie, they all ask the question, how are we pushing division in a negative sense? And they humma, like they don't come with no answers. They come with emotionalism. Well, Tariq said this joke about this tethered hairline, they'll go there. It's like, so one guy making a joke about somebody who joked on him first. You're using that as the scapegoat to say all of us are just causing division. Stop it. Nobody's causing division. You're not going to roast people who can roast, right? You're coming into their lane. You should know better. So they go into those lanes and they get cooked. And that's not causing division. You started first. So much for the African booty scratcher narrative, because you probably were called that. And guess why you were called that? You probably roasted first. Like y'all doing it today. What's your point number 3?
3. Black immigrants look down on FBAs and want proximity to whiteness. This argument is rooted in personal experience, not systemic reality. Yes, some immigrants have internalized anti-blackness. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but why? And where did they get it from? Because a lot of these immigrants never made it to America's shores just yet. So why are they internalizing white supremacy talking points? They never interacted with an FBA person in life. I got so many videos of testimonials of Tethers admitting they never met us before, never came to America, but they are using white supremacist talking points. We're lazy, we're drug addicts, we're welfare, all these things. We don't want to get married. All these things that's all white supremacist talking points. Yeah, so why do you have those thoughts?
Unfortunately, that's a colonial legacy that exists in most places in the world.
Okay, now you see how she just dismissed it? You see, now this is the issue I had with Afrocentrics like Brother Reggie and her, people like Tethers like her. You see how she admitted that Tethers are out there borrowing white supremacist points, talking bad about us. Why us? Like, if you're in Nigeria, all the black people of the world, all these different ethnic groups, why are you talking about foundational black Americans? And not just them, Sudanese people, Rwandians, Jamaicans. Why are you all just talking about this one tiny group? All these millions and billions of different blacks in the world you could talk about. Why do y'all all just talk about us? And that's letting us know that we must be special. That I could see if Nigerians were talking about this group over here and that group, and the Haitians were talking about the Sudanese, and the Sudanese were talking about the Bohemians. I could see if that was this crisscross thing was going on, then okay. But now all of y'all got your arrows towards us. So that's making us like, oh, okay. All right. So there is something here that you guys want. So, but you see how easily she dismissed it and she justified it. Oh, well, years of colonization, oh no, give them a break. Oh, now you're playing victimhood for them. Remember, they always say that we do the victimhood card, but now she's giving these Tethers a victimhood card.
Africa, in the Caribbean, in Latin America, but so have many African Americans and people identifying as foundational Black Americans. There is a reason why colorism, classism, and internalized racism exist.
Now, that's a good thought there, DL. He said if an immigrant sends $100 to their family in Jamaica, then $50 of it should be taxed and it should stay in America. That remittance thing is interesting. I wonder if Trump is going to address that, because this is just his first year, right? And he's doing a lot in his first year. So can y'all imagine by his third year how much stuff going to change? So like Tethers, like this is the wrong time to be flexing towards us. You dig how well y'all doing and blah, blah, blah. Like this is only Trump's first year. All right. You better hope like hell he simmers down his second, third, and his last year. Because when he start pulling that birthright citizenship, and all you folks that was born here, he's saying, nah, y'all got deportation status as well. Ain't none of y'all say when he pull one of those right there on y'all, the first people y'all gonna come to and cry on the shoulder of is ours. And we're going to get you off our shoulder. We're going to dust you off our shoulder. And we're going to say, you need to handle that.
Within all black communities, including the US. Yes, it's true. Some immigrants distance themselves from African Americans.
Oh, word.
But let's be real. Many FBAs do the same thing. If we are keeping it honest, many FBAs hold negative stereotypes about Africa.
Okay, no, we don't. No, we don't. I would challenge anybody on this. What we say about Africa is be 100% true. It's just sad. It's just sad. That's a reality. But when we talk about bushmeat, when we talk about hairlines, when we talk about musk, all that stuff is absolutely true because it's a cultural difference, right? We got deodorant over here, they don't, right? So that's the truth though. Like a lot of Indians also come over here and they're probably more musty, but that's the truth though. And at one point, when Chinese people came over here, like their teeth wasn't really like ours. They're like kind of, y'all seen their teeth like kind of jumbled up, but a lot of that changed today. A lot of their teeth is like normal, like ours, straight white, whatever. But no. What we say about other folks is the absolute truth. Now we might sometimes say it in a roasting manner, but there's truth behind that roast. So I want her to give us an example of some lies that we tell about people from diaspora or the continent.
Africans, calling them jungle people, booty scratchers, mocking their accents.
Okay, so now you see, they always go back to children. Now, I don't even believe that. So family, let me tell you how skeptic I am. I don't even believe that. I don't even believe, because I will ask this question. Who called you that? They'll say a Foundation Black America. I say, how do you know look, you're a kid. How do you know he or she was foundational Black American? How you know they went for the Bahamas? Because y'all live here. How you know this? And y'all hate each other. How you know that person wasn't Dominican, or Haitian, or Jamaican, or Nigerian, or from Ghanaian, Sudanese? How do you know that person was not from one of those other countries? How do you know as a 9-year-old that was a foundational Black American when we barely know now as adults? That's called lookership. So I even challenged that. And and then if I even gave you that, why are you comparing when they talk about us giving it to them, they go to little kids roasting. That's not how they truly feel, because their parents don't have those true feelings. This is, if that happened to you, and it wasn't all of them, because they all are lying, saying that they all were called jungle bunnies or African booty scratch. This is a lie that they all took on, which if 100 of them say it happened to them, I'm gonna say probably 10% it may be true. All right, and we don't even know if that was a foundation of Black American, but I'm gonna take the accountability and say, okay, if it was us, okay, but that's a kid. That's a kid. What did the grown-up say to you? Nothing.
Or dismissing them as fresh off the boat. I have seen so many stand-up comedy shows.
Wait, here she go. Now she said comedy show. You see, so every way she's painting us, it's in the light of roasting, comedy, funny. They're not serious, but when you guys talk about us, it's never in a comedic way. It's always serious.
African Americans were mocking Africans. I mean, just take a look at this nonsense.
Now, she's going to a damn comedian who roasts everybody. Like, but this is the reach they would do. They're going to Jamie Foxx, a comedian. This was all fun. All in the spirit of fun. There was no hate behind this at all.
You know what's fucked up? African people don't like black people. Y'all know they treat us like shit. They talk down to us. They think they better than us. And I don't understand, because we from the same tribe, kind of. But they like white people, though. They treat y'all like family. As soon as y'all come around, they get excited. Excuse me, Mr. White Man. Thank you for bringing us here. We love you. Yeah, the white man.
Do not let them increase your home insurance rates. I used to feel powerless, watching my premiums rise every year. They count on you not looking for better options, hoping you'll stay complacent. But you deserve better. I found AgileRates.com, and now my payment is only $40 a month for identical coverage. Imagine what you could do with the money you save. Renovate that kitchen, upgrade your furniture, or even take a vacation. Agile Rates made it so easy to switch. In just 2 minutes, I answered a few simple questions about my home, and I had a new rate. Don't let them take your hard-earned money. Take back control and make the smart choice. I left a link below the video for you. Fill out a quick questionnaire and get your personalized rate. It's time to join the countless homeowners who have already made the switch and are saving big. Let me know how much you save once you've switched. See if you can beat my rate. This is the biggest magnesium scam. New study reveals microplastics found in 90% of all magnesium supplements tested, as well as toxic heavy metals. So we tested ourselves the best 5 magnesium supplements of 2024, with our top pick testing 46 times less heavy metals than others. So pay attention for the next 60 seconds, as we'll guide you through the #1 mistake people make when choosing a magnesium supplement. According to Harvard University, magnesium is a crucial mineral found in every organ of your body, supporting bodily functions, the nervous system, and bone density. Unfortunately, over 75% of adults are deficient in magnesium. Our Western diet makes it difficult to get enough magnesium, a problem that worsens with age, leading to fatigue, mood issues, inflammation, and more. A quality magnesium supplement can reduce muscle cramps, improve sleep, boost immune system, increase bone density, and reduce stress. But not all magnesium supplements are created equal. Look for magnesium glycinate, because it's best for sleep, cramps, blood pressure, and constipation due to its high absorption rate, and most gentle on the stomach. Also, look for zinc for increased absorption. Now, before you buy, avoid these 3 mistakes. Choosing magnesium blends with cheap oxide, falling for fake reviews, and ignoring the presence of heavy metals in cheaper supplements. Just one mistake may lead to abdominal bloating, diarrhea, cramps, or nausea. Now, there's only one supplement which made the cut during our testing, that is pure magnesium glycinate by Organics Ocean, with a recommended 275 milligrams of Chelamax magnesium. It's the most bioavailable form of magnesium in the market today, thanks to the pioneering Chelamax method developed by Dr. Harvey Ashmead. This magnesium utilizes amino acid chelation, vastly improving its absorption and effectiveness, and a low-dose zinc for maximum absorption and 46 times less heavy metals and microplastics than others. That's because this rare magnesium is sourced directly from the Dead Sea, known to have 10 times the concentration of pure magnesium than any ocean in the world. This unique source, combined with the Chelamax method, means our supplement not only offers superior absorption, but also taps into the ancient mineral riches of one of the world's most renowned natural spas. While the rest source and manufacture their magnesium in China, that's not the only reason why we ranked Organics Ocean #1. Hundreds of 5-star reviews, a 90-day money-back guarantee, third-party tested, GMP certified, and manufactured in the U.S. state of Utah. So, consider this tip when shopping for a magnesium supplement. Select something that you can enjoy taking daily. Your results rest firmly on your ability to take it every day for months at a time. That means a supplement with magnesium glycinate that's most gentle on your stomach. Pour Poor quality magnesium can cause diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea, gas, and bloating, and leave a strange metallic taste in the mouth. It's not just about avoiding the side effects, but also taking maximum absorption for a good night's sleep. Reduced muscle cramps, stress management, strong bones, and more. Now at this point, I'm sure you're excited to try Organics Ocean Pure Magnesium Glycinate, but the truth is, sourcing magnesium from the Dead Sea can actually be quite a challenge. Due to the conflict zone surrounding the area, the supply line can cut off any unforeseen moment. And because so many people are taking advantage of the 180-day supply discount bundle, it puts a strain on Organics Ocean already limited supply. If you're watching this right now, it's not too late. With a 30-day supply, you'll be on your way to feeling well-rested and rejuvenated, waking up each morning with newfound energy. With a 90-day supply, you'll restore the vibrant energy of your former self, tackling each day with the vigor and zest you once knew. And with a 180-day supply, you'll transform your life, enjoying deep, restorative sleep, boundless energy, and the peace of mind that comes from optimal health and well-being. So go ahead and choose the 180-day package or whatever package is best for you. With every order backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee and secured by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, PayPal, and Discover. This online special is only available on their website for a limited time. Do not buy cheap fakes or knockoffs on Amazon or eBay. So tap the Shop Now button below to claim your Organics Ocean Pure Magnesium Glycinate while stock lasts, and they will quickly deliver straight to your door in just a few business days.
If we want to fix this, the solution is not more division, fam. It's confronting anti-blackness wherever it exists, whether in the Caribbean, in Africa, or among African Americans. Let's get to the next point. Point number 4. Black immigrants just want to make money and don't care about the fight. This argument is reductionist and misleading. If FBAs really want to understand why African immigrants focus on making money instead of activism, they need to understand how the US has actively destroyed Africa through imperialism. Let's take the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, for instance. Patrice Lumumba was the first democratically elected leader of the Congo. The US and Belgium orchestrated his assassination because he wanted to keep Congo's resources out of Western hands. His death led to decades of dictatorship and resource exploitation. And this pattern repeated itself across the African continent. The US supported apartheid South Africa, keeping Nelson Mandela in prison, and the CIA helped overthrow Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah. African economies were crippled by IMF and World Bank policies designed to keep them dependent. So when African immigrants come to the US to work hard and build wealth, it's often because their home countries were robbed by the same American system that oppresses African Americans. I mean, let's be real. Why should African immigrants feel guilty for simply wanting a better life when the US played a key role in keeping Africa underdeveloped? Some FBAs call African immigrants cowards for fleeing their country. But let's be real for a second. If you lived in a war-torn country or a collapsed economy, wouldn't you leave for a better future? This doesn't mean they hate FBAs. It means they are survivors, just like the enslaved Africans who survived the Middle Passage. You know, when Africans come to America, their first instinct is survival. Not because they don't care about black struggles, but because they are literally trying to lift their families out of generational poverty. Let's get to the next point. Number 5. The lie that FBAs are indigenous to America. Many FBA supporters now push the outrageous claim that they are indigenous to the US and that some of them were in America before the transatlantic slave trade, as if they have no connection to Africa. Let's be clear, this is the highest form of self-hate. Genetic and historical evidence confirms that African Americans are of African descent, primarily from West and Central Africa. There is not a single evidence of a massive black indigenous population in the US before the 15th century. And the evidence that some of the FBAs bring are ridiculous, hilarious. Like recently, I saw this post.
Got safety protocols? Grainger has the safety pros to call. Shop our vast inventory of safety products at Grainger.com. Call, click, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I just shake my head. I just shake my head. Let's just leave it there, okay? The truth is the transatlantic slave trade forcibly brought millions of Africans to the Americas. This is not up for debate, fam, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. In my humble opinion, this narrative is nothing more than an attempt to erase African ancestry. The very thing that white supremacy has always tried to do. I mean, if FBAs believe they were always in America, why are there DNA results linking them to Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Congo, and Angola? This is not black empowerment, fam. I'm sorry to say, but this is black and African erasure. Did Africans arrive in the Americas before the arrival of Columbus? Definitely. If you want to learn more about that, study the massive expedition of King Abubakari II of Mali, who arrived in America approximately 200 years before Columbus. And I've visited the island of St. Vincent it was in 2018, where I met the chief of the Garifuna people, who are believed to be descendants of this expedition out of Mali to the Americas, and who have intermarried and mixed with the indigenous Carib population. And out of this peaceful encounter between the Caribs, the indigenous people of America, and the Africans from Mali, came these beautiful people that we know today as the Garifuna people. Their culture reflects a unique blend between African and indigenous influences, and they continue to fight for land rights and cultural preservation. Despite centuries of displacement, the Garifuna remain a resilient and vibrant community. There are similar cases in the US, like for instance the Black Seminoles, where indigenous people mixed with Africans, with enslaved Africans who were shipped to the Americas. However, while the Garifuna people proudly embrace their African ancestry, some FBAs, on the other hand, claim they have no ties, no connection to Africa, which is, as I have said earlier, in my opinion, the highest form of self-hate. Last but not least, point number 7, the victim mentality in FBA rhetoric. Very problematic. One of the biggest problems with the FBA ideology is that it thrives on a victim mentality, blaming everyone, including Africans, for their struggles instead of focusing on solutions and unity. Also, I noticed a widespread belief among African Americans and especially among FBAs that Africans hate them. All I can say about this false claim is please visit the African continent and make your own experience. I promise you, you will feel the love, you will feel welcomed, you will feel accepted, and you will feel valued, celebrated. Please visit the African continent and make your own experience. This is one of the most vicious lies that I've heard in my life, in my entire life, and I can guarantee you, this is by design. This vicious lie has been spread to keep us apart, to keep us from uniting and from building together. You need to stop this constant talk about how much we gave and how little we received in return from African immigrants and Caribbean people, because it ignores the fact that the black struggle is global, fam. It's global. African Americans have suffered, yes, nobody is denying that, but they have also benefited from African labor. African resources and African political support. Plus, believe me when I say this victim-perpetrator binary doesn't help anyone. In fact, for some people, it's inconceivable that victims can be perpetrators too. Liberia is a perfect example of this. Liberia was founded in 1821 by freed African Americans with the support of the American Colonization Society, an organization established by white Americans, many of whom were slaveholders who sought to solve the problem of freed black people in the US by relocating them to Africa. The American Colonization Society promoted colonization as a way to rid the US of free black populations, whom they viewed as a threat to the institution of slavery in the US. Many African Americans supported colonization as a chance to escape systemic racism in the US and build a society where they could be free from white oppression. However, their settlement brought them into conflict with the indigenous African population who had already lived there. When African Americans, known as Americo-Liberians, settled in Liberia, they established a society that mirrored the racial and class hierarchies they had experienced in the United States, effectively dominating and exploiting the indigenous African population. Some Americo-Liberians established agricultural plantations where they used the forced labor of indigenous Africans, essentially replicating the plantation system that African Americans had escaped in the US. So what is the solution? Surely it's Pan-Africanism and unity and not more division. How can we overcome the division? By stop blaming each other, by stop pointing fingers at each other and understanding how our histories, slavery, the transatlantic slavery on the one side and colonialism on the other, are deeply entangled with each other. I want to give you an example how. Imagine the same ships by the British Navy that patrolled the West African coast allegedly to suppress the transatlantic slave trade, were the same ships, the same British Navy ships that the British Empire used to conquer and to overthrow African kings and African empires with the goal to colonize them. This example perfectly illustrates how our struggles for liberation and histories of trauma and violence are interconnected and inseparably linked with each other. So please, Africans who have a false sense of superiority and look down on African Americans because they are the descendants of enslaved Africans, you're so wrong. Like, this is so immoral. You yourself, your ancestors have been colonized. Stop saying African Americans do not have a culture when our own cultures on the African continent have been deeply influenced by colonialism. We speak French at schools and universities, or English. I mean, Ethiopia is an exception here. However, we also experienced imperialism in Ethiopia, even though the imperialists had the same skin color like us. And we have also experienced occupation. Some call it colonization. So to believe that African Americans have no culture and that Africans still preserve a pure form of their culture is wrong. It's not true. The colonization of the African countries has influenced us in very negative ways, and it's important that we also acknowledge that. And the same applies to African Americans or foundational Black Americans, however you identify yourself. This false sense of superiority that some of y'all show towards the African brothers and sisters shows that you also have been deeply brainwashed. And I don't even blame you, because I grew up in Germany, I grew up in the West, I grew up consuming Western media, and I have seen the same images that you have seen. That Africa is always portrayed as the continent that suffers, that is in constant civil war and conflict and experiences a never-ending cycle of violence, hunger, starvation, you name it. I'm not denying that these things are happening. They are happening. However,
you can now access to the largest inventory of oils anywhere in the U.S. You'll find scents just like your favorite brands. They're just like the original scents that customers love and keep coming back for. And you'll find wholesale prices not available anywhere else to give your small business the best chance of success. Thousands of people have already started this way. To claim $10 off your first order, visit Africa Imports and choose from over 1,300 oils and use code FIRST10. But that's not all. There's 10,000 more products you can choose from, like health and beauty, clothing, jewelry, and much more. Don't wait. Get started today.
Since we started in 2004, FiltersFast.com has grown to be the largest filtration retailer online. Our life's work is to create the tools to help people find their filters fast and never worry about their home air and water quality again. We've built a trusted reputation by serving millions of satisfied customers. We are a small, family-owned company with a big mission to change the way you take action to purify the air and water in your home. We make sure you have the right filter when you need it, delivered right to your doorstep. Visit FiltersFast.com to get started today.
This is just one side of the story. So come to the African continent and see the other side. And most importantly, stop playing the victim. At the end of the day, this FBA ideology and narrative does nothing but weaken Black people globally. If FBAs truly want power, they should align with Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The focus on distinction between FBA and Black immigrants can weaken solidarity in addressing systemic racism, which affects all Black people, regardless of origin. Historically, colonial and racist systems used divide and conquer tactics to pit subgroups against each other, undermining collective action. So if FBAs claim to fight white supremacy, they should stop mimicking its divisive tactics. Look, I believe it's important that this movement recognizes the unique experiences of African Americans, and Africans should do this too. They should appreciate the struggle and what African Americans have built and the sacrifices that they have made. But FBAs should try to build bridges with other Black communities, African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, Latin American immigrants, what have you, and frame reparations as a specific justice initiative rather than a broader contest over identity or legitimacy. Trust me, it's possible and it's necessary to embrace solidarity in fighting structural racism while maintaining focus on the uniqueness of the FBA experience. This balance ensures the movement uplifts FBA descendants without reinforcing the divisions imposed by colonialist and white supremacist systems. That's it. These are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I look forward to see you